What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 13 of Chapter 181 Feet Golden Lion, Shiki. Advertise here. Bai Ye's daily routine on Sky Island is to chat with Colonel Vaughn, guide Kirby's practice, and help Nami learn more knowledge. In his spare time, he would beat up Luffy, the son of the world. This kind of interesting life makes Bai Ye feel very enjoyable. 5 days later, in the early morning, while Bai Ye was sleeping, he suddenly received a call from Enel. Sir Bai, I found the island you asked me to find. Hearing Enel's words, Bai Ye cheered up instantly and asked, have you confirmed the location? Well, it's in the sky not far from Rog Town. Enel answered affirmatively, because this was the news that he had determined after 5 days of running back and forth over the East China Sea. Tell me the specific location. Your mission on this trip to the East China Sea has been completed. You can have a good rest. After finishing speaking, Bai Ye hung up the phone. Just as he was about to stand up, he was wrapped around his neck by a pair of jade arms like lotus roots, and Nami's confused murmur sounded from behind. Brother, who made the call so early in the morning? While talking, Nami's long and smooth legs were still rubbing Bai Ye's calves under the quilt, which made Bai Ye's good brother immediately express his dissatisfaction. It doesn't matter who made the call, I have business to do now. Bai Ye turned around and saw that Nami had exposed most of her jade-like breasts because she stood up. She immediately lay back down to help the half-asleep Nami learn more knowledge. When Bai Ye walked out of the room refreshed, it was already close to noon. Bai Ye thought of what Enel had mentioned to him and felt that it was time to leave. But after leaving this time, Bai Ye prepared to take Kirby to Marine headquarters to participate in the next Marine training camp. With the potential shown by Kirby in the original work, he will not only become a Marine general in the future, but at least he can become a Marine elite lieutenant general. Keeping Kirby on Sky Island is indeed a waste of his talent. What Bai Ye didn't expect was that the two people, who were almost the same age, got along extremely well without Luffy saving Kirby in the original work. Kirby was very puzzled as to why Luffy still chose to go to sea and become a pirate even though his grandfather was a marine hero. Luffy, on the other hand, was explaining to Kirby about the freedom, adventure, and search for the legendary treasure in a pirate's life. In this way, the relationship between the two is getting better and better. Bai Ye came to the branch base to look for Colonel Vaughn, telling him about his upcoming departure and his plans to bring Kirby to the Marine headquarters. What Bai Ye didn't expect was that as soon as he said he was about to leave, Colonel Vaughn took the initiative to suggest, Bai Ye, take Kirby with you when you leave. Bai Ye unexpectedly said, Colonel Vaughn, even if you didn't say anything, I would have taken the initiative to take Kirby away. Unexpectedly, we thought of going together. Quote. Vaughn smiled happily, Kirby's growth in the past 2 years has far exceeded my expectations, and I have nothing left to teach him. It can even be said that if it were not for your existence, Kirby would be the most talented young man I have ever seen. Quote. Bai Ye had no doubts about this. Let alone anything else, Kirby's talent for seeing, hearing, and domineering was far beyond that of ordinary people. Therefore, Bai Ye also has great expectations for Kirby's future growth. After telling Kirby the news, the group came to the dock. Bai Ye waved goodbye and said, Colonel Vaughn, then we are leaving. Colonel Vaughn, after I arrive at the Marine headquarters, I will train hard and strive to become a Marine like Big Brother Byakuya. Put an end to this chaotic era of great pirates, and come back to see you soon. Kirby seemed to have tears in his eyes and shouted to Vaughn. Kirby also developed a very deep relationship with Vaughn during his 2 years at Ski Island. Now that I have left suddenly, I naturally feel extremely reluctant to leave. Well, let's go. Vaughn looked normal, but he was also very uncomfortable in his heart. Bai Ye is the child he has seen since childhood, and Kirby is the disciple he has taught for 2 years. Both of them are like family members to Vaughn. Although Luffy is not familiar with Vaughn, he has an excellent relationship with Kirby. After hearing the promise Kirby made to Vaughn, he couldn't help but have a lot of thoughts in his heart. The chaotic era of great pirates is over, and I'm coming back to see you. Does that mean that if there were no pirates on the sea, then Kirby and Colonel Vaughn would not have to separate? What exactly does the word pirate mean? Luffy fell into deep thought. He was just thinking with his not-so-smart mind, and was destined to be unable to come up with the correct answer. These things can only be fully understood through seeing, hearing, and feeling yourself. As the daylight began to move, Vaughn's figure on the dock became smaller and smaller until he was completely invisible. Bai Ye stood on the bow of the ship and looked in the direction of Sky Island. He originally wanted to take Vaughn to the Marine headquarters. As a Marine general, he has such a privilege. In this case, he and Kirby can also visit Vaughn from time to time. But Vaughn rejected Bai Ye's suggestion. In Vaughn's view, Ski Island is the place where I was born and raised. As a colonel of the Marine branch on Ski Island, he must use his life to protect the residents of Ski Island from pirates. Now that he is still able to fight, if he follows Bai Ye to the Marine headquarters like this, he will become a deserter. So no matter how Bai Ye tried to persuade him, Vaughn still refused to leave Sky Island. Faced with Vaughn's resolute attitude, Bai Ye had no choice. He couldn't tie Vaughn to Marine headquarters, right? But before leaving, Bai Ye handed Colonel Vaughn 3 quick healing potions and 10 healing potions. Although these things cannot regenerate Colonel Vaughn's broken arm, they can still save Colonel Vaughn's life at a critical moment. It can also remove the hidden wounds in his body and make his body healthier. For these things, Vaughn did not refuse, and praised Bai Ye for being a good man and being able to get such things from Marine headquarters. But let Vaughn know that not to mention Marine headquarters, not even the world government knows that such a magical potion exists. For this reason, Bai Ye also specifically asked Colonel Vaughn to keep it properly and not let outsiders discover it. This can be considered the limit of what Bai Ye can do. However, judging from the existing pirates in the East China Sea, their strength is unimaginably weak. With Luffy's bounty of 22 million belly, he almost ranks first in the East China Sea. This shows how weak the pirates in the East China Sea are. Of course, this has to exclude the legendary pirate who just arrived in the East China Sea not long ago. In the sky not far from Rog Town, several islands are floating in midair like sky islands, but upon closer inspection, these islands do not rely on the buoyancy of the sea of clouds. It's as if there is an inexplicable force that makes these seemingly ordinary islands float in the sky. On the largest of these islands, a magnificent palace was built. Various plants were planted in it, and many animals shuttled among the plants. A man with ground-length golden hair, like a lion's mane, a rudder on his head, and golden sideburns and beard asked, "How is the research on violent animals going?" Upon hearing the question, Indigo, who is a doctor and combatant of the flying pirates, quickly replied, "I am reporting to you, Admiral, that all researches have basically come to an end. You can drop the violent animals and further observe the experimental results." Quote. He has golden hair like a lion and is called an admiral. Looking at the entire sea, there is only the legendary big pirate with the power of Piao Piao fruit, the golden lion, Shiki. Back then, Shiki felt extremely angry because of Roger's surrender to Marine. He rushed into Marine's headquarters alone and fought against the young Sengoku and Garp alone. Sengoku, then Marine General, and Marine Lieutenant General Garp successfully defeated Shiki at the cost of destroying half of Marineland and imprisoned him in Impel Down Castle. Moreover, in Impel Down City, which is said to be inaccessible to anyone, Shiki escaped from it at the cost of breaking his own legs. Be the first pirate on the sea to escape from Impel Down. This shows how strong Shiki is. It's a pity that Shiki became more and more lazy after coming out. Don't think about how to maintain your own strength and conquer your powerful subordinates. Instead, the goal was to make the ferocious beast become violent. This method of sacrificing the basics makes Shiki, just like Moonlight Moria, whose own strength is constantly weakening. Shiki, who was able to compete with Roger and Whitebeard, and fight Sengoku and Garp alone, was eventually defeated by Luffy, who had not yet mastered his domineering power. This weakening of Shiki is really outrageous. But it's normal to think about it. After all, it's the theatrical version of Luffy. If God blocks God, he will kill God, and if Buddha blocks Buddha, he will kill Buddha. Byakuya even wondered if he could be killed by Luffy's protagonist or if he appeared in front of Luffy in the movie version. Shiki's purpose of coming to Donghai this time is very simple, because Roger was executed by Marine in Roger Town, which makes Shiki have a deep malice towards Donghai. And now he just needs to observe the strength of the violent ferocious beast that he has studied for many years. So Shiki planned to release violent ferocious beasts to the entire East China Sea and let the East China Sea be destroyed in his own hands. And this is just the first step for Shiki. When the East China Sea is destroyed and the strength of the violent beasts is verified, Shiki's next target is Marine Headquarters. Marine Headquarters is also among Shiki's targets for destruction. It may be because the rudder inserted into the top of his head is too deep, which makes Shiki's brain circuit different from ordinary people. In Bai Ye's opinion, Shiki's idea is completely wrong with his brain. Just these violent ferocious beasts, any general you choose can easily kill them without even taking a breath. Destroying the Marine Headquarters is simply a foolish dream. And in order to ensure the safety of Colonel Vaughn, Bai Ye naturally wanted to eliminate all hidden dangers in the East China Sea. In this case, Shiki is Bai Ye's first target to get rid of. Chapter 182 Shiki is so angry. Advertise here. In the midair of Rog Town, more than a dozen floating islands suddenly appeared, as if blocking the sky and the sun, leaving Rog Town in darkness. Pedestrians walking on the street suddenly felt the disappearance of the sunlight and wondered, "Hey, why is it cloudy? Is it covered by dark clouds?" Someone subconsciously raised his head and looked up at the sky. This sight immediately frightened him out of his wits. There are no dark clouds in the sky, but a dozen islands floating together in midair. It looks like a huge island resting above Rog Town. Colonel Pierce of the Marine Branch in Rogue Town also noticed this abnormal phenomenon. But he has never seen such a strange phenomenon in all these years. No idea what happened. Soldiers can only be arranged to observe the situation 24 hours a day and report in time. Fortunately, the islands are not doing anything unusual. In this way, the residents of Rog Town spent a few days of worry and peace. Colonel Pierce also breathed a sigh of relief, only thinking that this might be some special natural phenomenon. But the good times did not last long. 5 days later, all the islands in the sky fell, as if they were going to flatten Rog Town. It didn't stop until it was only 300 meters away from Rog Town. Before the panicked residents of Rog Town could recover, 100 huge iron cages fell from these islands, in which all kinds of extremely large ferocious beasts lived. The reason why 100 ferocious beasts were released was mainly because if too many ferocious beasts were released, the ferocious beasts would start fighting each other. On the contrary, it is not conducive for ferocious beasts to prey on the residents of Rog Town. Crack! The door of the iron cage opened, and the ferocious beast walked out, letting out a wild low roar. Its scarlet eyes looked at the residents living in Rog Town, as if they were looking at their own rations. Pierce instantly realized that something big was going on. If one person didn't handle it well, I'm afraid the entire Rog Town would be destroyed today. At this moment, an extremely arrogant voice suddenly came from the island in the sky. Today I will destroy Roger Town first to avenge Roger. Then we will destroy the marine headquarters and kill both Garp and Sengoku to repay the hatred for imprisoning me in Impel Castle. I want everyone to know that after Roger dies, I, Shiki, will be the only king of the sea. Quote. Golden Lion. Shiki. After hearing the man's voice, the residents of Pierce and Rog Towns felt their legs weaken. This is the man who competes with Roger, One Piece, and the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard, the legendary great pirate. And Shiki is the only prisoner to escape from Impel Down. After he escaped from Impel Down City, there was no news for more than 10 years and he never appeared on the sea again. Many people think Shiki has died of old age. But who would have thought that Shiki would appear today? The place where he appeared was the town of Roger where Roger, One Piece, was executed. Faced with this legendary big pirate and the hundreds of terrifying beasts that were watching eagerly around them, Pierce and the residents basically had no hope of surviving. Who would have thought that they had encountered the red-haired pirate group, one of the 4 emperors, just a few days ago, and now they had met the Golden Lion, Shiki. No one else has such luck. Not far away, Bai Ye also saw the ferocious beast and Shiki on the island. Luffy looked at the endangered residents of the island and said anxiously to Byakuya, hurry up and get the ship over. Aren't you Marine General? Seeing them in danger, you can't just ignore them. Bai Ye smiled and said, first, General Marine, are not in a hurry. Why are you, a pirate, so anxious? What's wrong with pirates? Luffy scratched his neck and retorted, pirates are not always bad, and Marines are not always good. Bai Ye pointed at Shiki not far away and said, see, that's the real pirate. In order to realize his ambition, he can kill tens of thousands of innocent people without any burden. And you are still far from a real pirate. Quote. Luffy didn't know how to refute what he said, so he changed the topic and said, what's the use of talking more here? The residents of Rog Town were immediately killed by the ferocious beasts. Bai Ye chuckled and said, since you are so anxious, then go kill the beast with Kebi. What are you going to do? Luffy screamed like a boy about to be violated. After saying that, Byakuya wrapped Luffy around Kebi, then grabbed Luffy's arm and threw Kebi and Luffy directly in the direction of the beast. With Bai Ye's power, the two of them turned into an afterimage in the air and headed straight for the ferocious beast in Rog Town. Nami asked with some worry, Bai, with their strength, nothing will happen to them, right? Probably not. It's just a matter of dealing with some ferocious beasts. It's not like dealing with Shiki. What's the big deal? Just to see if Kebi will be as timid as in previous years when facing the bloodthirsty beasts, not daring to take action against the beasts. Besides, with the son of the world Luffy here, he would only be slightly injured but not dead. Shiki ordered to the ferocious beasts, baby, get ready for dinner. Following Shiki's order, 100 ferocious beasts let out ear-splitting roars, moved their limbs, and charged madly at the residents of Rog Town. Colonel Pierce quickly led the marine soldiers to stop the beast's progress, but the bullets fired at the beast could not even break the surface skin. Just when Pierce was at a loss what to do, some screams were heard in his ears. Before he could turn around, a black shadow suddenly flashed in front of his eyes and rushed straight into the group of ferocious beasts. With a sound of boom, the black shadow directly hit the huge ferocious beast. I saw the ferocious beast whose skin couldn't even be broken by bullets. Under the impact of the black shadow, it was like a bowling ball, like a hillock, retreating rapidly, hitting more than a dozen ferocious beasts one after another. Pierce immediately realized that reinforcements were coming and shouted, well done. The soldiers' low morale also improved. But before they could be happy for long, they saw the black shadow shouting in an extremely angry tone, beautiful fart. Is that guy Bai Ye trying to kill us? Quote question mark quote. Pierce was shocked, how could this thing still talk? Etc. The Byakuya they mentioned just now, could it be Marine General Byakuya? Pierce took a closer look and realized that the black figures were actually 2 young men, one of whom was the pirate he had just met a few days ago, Straw Hat, Luffy. Pierce doesn't think Luffy has the strength to escape from Marine General Byakuya. In this case, there is only one explanation. Marine General Bai Ye has arrived. This made Pierce extremely excited and shouted, brothers, hold on, General Bai Ye will be here soon. As soon as these words came out, the soldiers' fighting spirit became high and their hope for survival was rekindled. A dozen marine soldiers worked together to contain a ferocious beast, while 2 or 3 officers dealt with a ferocious beast. Even so, there were still more than a dozen ferocious beasts that were unchecked and could attack at will. But this is the limit of what Marine can do in Rogue Town. As for escaping, it's not like they haven't thought about it. It's just that when they joined the Marines, they thought they might die, but their duty as Marine soldiers is to protect the people. This responsibility has always constrained their thoughts of escaping. Moreover, what they are protecting now is their own home, and behind them are their closest family members. If they choose to retreat, their family members will die tragically at the mouths of vicious beasts. So they can't retreat, and they don't want to retreat. When a lone soldier was attacked by two ferocious beasts at the same time, he had no time to dodge and was about to be killed by the beasts. When Luffy saw it, he shouted, "Rubber machine gun." The two fists were like bullets, hitting the beast's body crazily, knocking the beast back and knocking it to the ground, saving the Marine soldier. The soldier who was rescued subconsciously thanked Luffy, but when he noticed that the person who saved him was the pirate Luffy, he couldn't help but froze. Careful. The ferocious beast got up and bit the soldier again. Luffy's arms extended infinitely, and he pulled the soldier out just before the beast's mouth closed. Now the soldier was no longer in a daze, and after sincerely thanking Luffy, he once again joined forces with other Marine soldiers to contain the vicious beast. Logically speaking, pirates and Marines should be at odds with each other. But now Luffy, as a pirate, has teamed up with Marine to deal with the pirate Shiki. Even Luffy is doubting his identity as a pirate at this moment. What does the word pirate mean? Even with the addition of Luffy and Kirby, the Rogue Town Marine side seems to be in danger. Luffy's performance was pretty much what Byakuya expected. Kirby's performance is much worse than Luffy's, although he did not appear submissive and afraid to take action in front of the ferocious beast. But Kirby's shots seemed to be constrained, and he only used about 80% of his strength, making the fight very difficult. Bai Ye couldn't help but sigh. If this continues, the soldiers may die at the hands of the ferocious beasts one after another. Bai Ye's figure moved, and he flashed through the group of ferocious beasts like a stream of light. It was as if a immobilization spell had been cast on the originally ferocious beasts, which were fixed in their previous appearance. Bai Ye appeared in front of the soldiers, immediately arousing strong cheers. Pierce quickly came to Bai Ye's side and said excitedly, "General Bai Ye, you came just in time. I just wanted to return to the Grand Line and happened to meet it." With that said, Bai Ye looked up at the sky and murmured, "You will call Sengoku Fleet Admiral later and tell him about my killing of Golden Lion, Shiki." Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Pierce was caught off guard by Bai Ye's sudden pretense. "Before you even take action, let me tell the Warring States Fleet Admiral the news. If you are defeated by Shiki, or even killed by Shiki, then I will be the one who lied about the military situation." However, no matter how brave Pierce was, he would not dare to say this in front of Bai Ye. He had to nod his head repeatedly to show that he understood. Luffy asked in confusion, "Byakuya, are these ferocious beasts left here like this?" Bai Ye said calmly, "They are all dead. Is there anything wrong with leaving them here?" Dead. Luffy's face was full of disbelief, and he tried to push the beast in front of him. When Luffy's hand just touched the ferocious beast, the mound-like ferocious beast suddenly fell to the ground, and the huge body that fell to the ground split into two halves instantly. The incision was extremely smooth, and a large amount of blood continued to leak out, mixing with the soil and becoming the nourishment of the earth. As the first ferocious beast fell to the ground, 100 ferocious beasts fell to the ground one after another, as if dominoes were being pushed. Not surprisingly, these ferocious beasts were all chopped into two pieces with one knife. For a time, the entire ground was stained red with blood, and the air was filled with a disgusting smell of blood. Luffy looked at everything in front of him in shock. What a terrifying strength this was. Because Luffy has fought against ferocious beasts and knows the strength of ferocious beasts. So for Luffy, Byakuya's action of killing 100 ferocious beasts in an instant was far more shocking than when Byakuya defeated the red-haired pirates. Only then did Luffy realize that when he attacked Bai Ye, he was hit by Bai Ye twice and was seriously injured. He was still complaining about Bai Ye's cruelty. Now it seems that Bai Ye is not letting himself go, it is completely letting him go. Byakuya's action of killing the ferocious beast also attracted Shiki's attention. Shiki came down from the island, stopped in midair, and shouted condescendingly to Bai Ye, "I didn't expect that you, a young Lieutenant General Marine, would have such strength. It would be a shame to kill you. How about this? As long as you are willing to join the Flying Pirates, I will forgive you and let you become a senior cadre of the Flying Pirates." Quote. Because of the distance, Shiki had not heard the Marine soldiers calling Byakuya Marine General before. So after coming off the island, Bai Ye's identity was judged simply from the Marine Lieutenant General uniform he was wearing. Originally, with Shiki's hatred for Marine, when he saw Marine Lieutenant General like Bai Ye again, he should be furious and attack him. But in the entire Flying Pirates group, there were very few people left since the Battle of At Wall and him being imprisoned in the Impel Down City. Shiki saw that Bai Ye was so young and had good strength, and he instantly fell in love with talents. If he is captured and cultivated, it is not impossible to become the vice captain of the Flying Pirates in the future. That's why Shiki didn't take action immediately, but instead opened his mouth to recruit Bai Ye. However, Shiki did not realize how much shock his words brought to the people present. The legendary pirate actually wants to recruit General Marine to become his subordinate. Even One Piece, Roger couldn't do such an arrogant thing, right? Byakuya looked at Shiki, with a trace of murderous intent flashing in his eyes, and said to Luffy and Kebi, I will show you later how miserable the fate of the pirates will be. After saying that, Byakuya used his legs and jumped directly into the air to be level with Shiki. Shiki looked at Bai Ye and said with a very arrogant attitude, if I'm not mistaken, your swordsmanship level should reach the level of a great swordsman. And I am also the top swordsman in the sea. If you are willing to become my subordinate, I can teach you and make your swordsmanship even further. It is not impossible to become a general-level warrior. Quote. Bai Ye focused on Shiki's legs that were replaced by two famous swords, and said nonchalantly, my legs are still intact, but I'm afraid I won't be able to learn your moves. Kid, do you know you are looking for death? Shiki looked at Byakuya with wide eyes, like an angry lion, releasing powerful Conqueror's Haki, trying to overwhelm Byakuya in terms of momentum. Byakuya's Conqueror's Haki had already reached level 7 when she fought against Shanks. Moreover, Shiki's Conqueror's Hakiness is much inferior to Shanks. Shiki's Conqueror's Haki doesn't even have the effect of improving proficiency for Byakuya. Shiki now is just a sick lion in his twilight years in Byakuya's eyes. The angrier Shiki gets, the more powerless he becomes. Bai Ye said lightly, now is no longer your time, you will only become my stepping stone. Shiki laughed wildly and said, ha 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 ha, countless people have told me these things, kid. But now they have all gone to hell, and you are next. Chop. Before he finished speaking, Shiki kicked out his right leg towards Bai Ye, and a giant sword energy rushed towards Bai Ye. However, what Shiki didn't expect was that when faced with the attack of his giant sword energy, the marine in front of him would not dodge or even draw his sword. This move undoubtedly made Shiki even more furious. Shiki's face was gloomy and he said angrily, kid, do you look down on me? As a great swordsman, you can't even draw a sword. Facing the approaching giant sword energy, Bai Ye looked up at Shiki and said calmly, first of all, I am not just a great swordsman. Secondly, this is not to look down on you, but to look up to you too much. In Shiki's shocked eyes, Bai Ye raised his hand to grab the giant sword energy, exerted a little force with his fingers, and directly crushed the giant sword energy into pieces. But Bai Ye's palm that grasped the giant sword energy was unscathed. You must know that Bai Ye did not use armed haki just now, he did this with only physical strength. Shiki knew that his sword energy was enough to cut hundreds of miles of sea, but now he was caught by a marine lieutenant general with one hand. This kind of thing beyond Shiki's cognition made Shiki feel more and more pain in his head, became more and more excited, and shouted angrily. Impossible. Even that old guy Garp doesn't dare to crush my sword energy with his bare hands. How can you do this? That's because I'm much stronger than Garp. Bai Ye's figure flashed and appeared directly in front of Shiki, reaching out to grab Shiki. Shiki reacted extremely quickly, using the power of the Piao Piao fruit to its fullest. He immediately opened the distance and waved his legs to launch multiple more powerful sword energy at Bai Ye. Lion Thousand Slice Valley. This is an upgraded version of the chopper. It is more lethal than the chopper. It is powerful enough to cut through several pieces of thick water like a mountain. Dozens of sword energy shining with golden light pierced the air, attacking Bai Ye one after another. I said it was useless. Bai Ye still didn't dodge, and punched the powerful sword energy seemingly normally. However, with this punch, dozens of golden sword energy were shattered in an instant and dissipated in the air. The remaining fist wind was still extremely strong and hit Shiki's body. Shiki felt as if his chest had been punched through by the punch, and the blood he spit out stained all the clothes in front of him red. The whole person turned into an afterimage and disappeared into the distance. Bai Ye did not choose to pursue him at the first moment, but looked at his fist and smacked his tongue. With 10% strength, you almost killed Shiki with one punch. Isn't this ridiculously strong? Byakuya used to fight against enemies, and his strength was adjusted accordingly based on the opponent's strength. With his extreme swordsmanship, his strength is generally maintained between senior generals and top generals. He exerted very little of his true strength, not even half of it. So when I met Shiki this time, there were no general-level people around, so it would not arouse others' suspicion. Bai Ye planned to see how strong he was. So he didn't use Feng Ming, but used his old fist. Afraid of punching Shiki to death with all his strength, Bai Ye only used 10% of his strength. But what Bai Ye didn't expect was that he almost killed Shiki with a punch of 10% strength. If this is done with all his strength, Shiki will have to leave even the dregs behind. This made Byakuya more determined to obtain the source of the world, transform Luffy, and control Marine, which are all rewarding paths. While Bai Ye was thinking, Shiki, who had been knocked away with one punch, struck again without mercy. Although Shiki is a great swordsman and possesses a very strong swordsmanship, but his strongest skill is his devil fruit ability. The Piao Piao fruit can make oneself or objects escape gravity and float in the air, and can control touched objects, i.e. inanimate objects, to float. There seems to be no limit to the maximum load weight of floating items. It is almost the same level as Whitebeard's Paramesha devil fruit. It is also one of Bai Ye's goals this time. When he saw that swordsmanship was ineffective against Bai Ye, Shiki directly activated the ability of the Piao Piao fruit to awaken, and controlled a small island with a radius of 100 miles to directly hit Bai Ye. From the visual effect point of view, such a formation is even more impactful than Yishao's summoning of meteorites. This time, Bai Ye did not continue to stand where he was, but rushed directly to the island. The speed was so fast that the cloak of justice behind him made a rustling sound. Bai Yoruichi punched the center of the island, and countless fine cracks spread from the fist mark, covering the entire island in an instant. Boom! The entire island instantly turned into countless clods of rapidly crumbling soil, falling from the sky as if there was a rain of mud. Luffy and Kirby stared blankly at the sky, not even paying attention to the dirt falling on their faces. Luffy stammered. One punch shattered an island. Could this be the strength of General Marine? The legendary great pirate, Golden Lion, Shiki, couldn't even catch a punch in front of brother Byakuya. Kebi looked at Bai Ye in the sky, his eyes filled with admiration. The strength shown by Byakuya once again refreshed Luffy and Kirby's understanding. Only then did Luffy realize why his grandfather didn't let him become a pirate. If General Marine is as powerful as Byakuya, how strong must the 4 emperors be who can maintain relative peace with Marine? If you want to become one piece, in addition to dealing with Marine generals like Byakuya, you also need to fight against the pirates' 4 emperors. Luffy felt very difficult just thinking about it. If it weren't for my grandfather's relationship, I'm afraid I wouldn't even be able to get out of the East China Sea now, and would have died in Bai Ye's hands long ago, let alone go to the Grand Line to find the One Piece. After Shiki defeated the island with Yoruichi's punch, Shiki shouted angrily, Shikiway earth coiling. The ground on several islands was lifted up, forming the shape of a continuous lion's head, with its mouth wide open, trying to swallow up Bai Ye. For a time, yellow sand filled the sky, and dozens of lion heads with a height of 1,000 meters continued to sweep toward Bai Ye. Even Luffy's people hundreds of meters away can see what Shiki's move looks like. Shiki's move allowed them to see the strength of the legendary big pirate. It is also earth-shattering, destroying islands at every turn and affecting the lives of tens of thousands of people. That is to say, the battleground between Bai Ye and Shiki was chosen to be high in the sky, otherwise, the entire Rog town would be destroyed by the aftermath of the fight between the two. Bai Ye's clothes were rustled by the yellow sand in the sky, and he commented nonchalantly, it looks quite intimidating, but it's a pity that it's useless to me. White Yoruichi's palm swept out from the air, and the strong wind caused by the terrifying force enveloped the yellow sand, forming a giant stick of yellow sand tens of thousands of meters long. I saw the giant stick hitting the lion's head from the side, directly smashing the entire lion's head apart. 1, 2, until the last lion head. These lion heads were broken like toys in front of the yellow sand giant stick. In an instant, the mighty, lion power earth coiling, was broken by the white Yoruichi stick. Shiki was completely dumbfounded. In just over 10 years, has Vice Admiral Marine become so ferocious? So how did pirates survive in this era? Shiki even felt that even if he, Roger, and Whitebeard were tied together, they might not be the opponents of the Marine Lieutenant General in front of him. No matter how bad Shiki's mind was at this moment, he knew that if he didn't run away, he would probably die in the hands of the Marine Lieutenant General. Shiki used the Piao Piao fruit to the extreme and ran in the opposite direction very fast. Want to run? With a thought, Bai Ye's telekinesis spurted out, and then he grabbed the giant stick of yellow sand with one hand and swung the giant stick tens of thousands of meters high to hit Shiki in the air. Shiki wanted to dodge, but felt that he was restrained by an invisible force, as if there was an invisible mountain on his body, making him unable to move. The giant stick of yellow sand fell and hit Shiki's head. Crack! The rudder that had been on Shiki's head for more than 10 years broke instantly. Shiki's whole body fell to the island below like a meteor. Boom! A huge deep hole was created on the ground and countless dust was splashed. Bai Ye suddenly appeared next to the pit. At this time, Shiki's whole body was soaked in blood, and his whole head was almost smashed into his stomach by Bai Ye. Seeing that there was less air coming in and more air coming out, it didn't take long for him to regain his life. Bai Ye took out a large number of fruits of various formats from the system space and piled them up. These are all preparations made in advance to obtain the Piao Piao fruit. Normally, the total amount of devil fruit in the sea remains unchanged. After each devil fruit ability user dies, his devil fruit will appear in a random place in the sea and be consumed by the next person who is destined to do so. But if a person with devil fruit abilities is about to die and a large number of fruits are placed next to him, it is possible for the Esper's devil fruit to appear in nearby fruits. Of course, such a thing is not 100%, but there is a certain probability. So when Bai Ye killed Crocodile before, he didn't pay much attention. Shiki used his last bit of strength to ask, by the way, with your strength, you should be more than just Vice Admiral Marine, right? Surprisingly, with Bai Ye's strength, he is still ranked last among Marine Lieutenant Generals. Shiki saw the large pile of fruits placed next to Bai Ye and said with difficulty, do you also want to obtain the ability of the Piao Piao fruit? With your strength, the Piao Piao fruit may not be of much help to you. What makes him angry is that his dignified Marine Admiral was actually defeated by Marine Lieutenant General. But this requires Bai Ye to continuously maintain telekinesis to prevent Nine Snakes Island from falling, which is very troublesome. This was unacceptable to Shiki no matter what. He vomited blood and said sternly, I don't believe it. You lied to me. Then Bai Ye looked at the pile of fruits, and an apple suddenly changed. Its color turned into sky blue, and lines similar to clouds appeared on the fruit. Shiki, who was dying, reluctantly opened his eyes, looked at Bai Ye standing on the pit, and showed a wry smile. The more Shiki thought about it, the angrier he became, spitting out several mouthfuls of blood. After finishing speaking, he asked himself, however, I'm afraid no one would want the top Paramesh's devil fruit. Unexpectedly, within just 10 minutes, the situation on both sides had undergone earth-shaking changes. What? Just saying a few words will make me angry to death, the layout is too small. Quote. Move. Move. Bai Ye looked at Shiki's eyes that were still wide open after his death, and couldn't help but sigh, why are the characters of the older generation so angry? Breaking into Marine headquarters alone made Garp and Sengoku team up to defeat me. And use this to fight against One Piece, Roger. It looked like he only had a few seconds left to live. After saying these 6 words, Shiki immediately stopped breathing. The fluttering fruit is in hand. Moreover, Bai Ye was worrying about how to place Hancock's 9 Snake Island in an absolutely safe location. But if you can get the Piao Piao fruit, then this problem can be easily solved. Before he died, Shiki reluctantly asked, young man, can you tell me your name? Let me know who exactly I died under before I die. But Shiki's Piao Piao fruit is a top-notch Paramesha devil fruit and is extremely valuable. White Knight. Bai Ye's eyelids twitched and he said in a sincere tone, you are wrong, first am Marine Lieutenant General. And with my strength, I am only ranked at the bottom among Marine Lieutenant Generals. He was like this before, looking down at the young Marine Lieutenant General in front of him. Such a powerful fruit, in your mouth, is just convenient for moving, and it is also prepared to be taken by your subordinates. He felt that making him his subordinate was a way of survival for him and it was his honor. Shiki secretly thought, Laozi relied on the Piao Piao fruit to cross the sea and became a pirate admiral. Bai Ye said calmly, it's okay. I think your fruit power is very convenient for moving. I plan to give it to my men so that they can be used when moving. Although Bai Ye's telekinesis can control gravity, it can also achieve the purpose of keeping 9 Snake Island in the sky. That's why Bai Ye asked Enel to keep searching for Shiki in the East China Sea. When Bai Ye said this, Shiki was shocked and angry. This question has been lingering in Shiki's mind. If he cannot know the true situation, he may not even die peacefully. Chapter 183 Flowing Water Rock Shattering Fist. Advertise here. Shocking. Bai Ye, Marine's newly appointed 4th General, fought alone against the 2 emperors of the red-haired pirates in Rog Town. Wound Shanks, cut off Ben Beckman's right arm, and called them disabled brothers. Extra. Extra. Marine General Bai Ye killed the legendary pirate, Golden Lion, Shiki above Rog Town. When these 2 pieces of news spread, the entire sea was shaken. Countless people are discussing whether Bai Ye can be ranked first among the 4 Marine generals with his terrifying combat power. Moreover, many people had previously doubted Bai Ye's ability to take up the position of Marine General. After all, Bai Ye had no clear experience of fighting against the 4 emperors. Now, not only do these people have no doubts about Bai Ye, but they feel that having a top powerhouse like Bai Ye in Marine is extremely powerful in maintaining the stability of the sea. Compared with the other 3 generals, although they had experience fighting against the 4 emperors during their tenure, they never managed to kill the 4 emperors, and were even nearly injured by the 4 emperors several times. This contrast highlights Bai Ye's powerful strength. Many people even publicly declared that Bai Ye had replaced Whitebeard as the strongest man in the world. Although only a few people think so, after all, Whitebeard's strength is recognized by the entire sea. But this already showed how much shock the White Knight had brought to them. The Grand Line, a ship flying the Marine flag sails on the sea. However, the Marine logo on the flag is not the conventional blue peace dove holding a scale on a white background, but a black peace dove on a white background. When the surrounding pirates saw the unique Marine logo, they all changed their colors and ordered the helmsman to drive the ship in the opposite direction of the Marine ship. For a time, there was a scene of one ship passing by and 10,000 ships giving way. Just because the owner of that ship is the most famous Marine general in the sea, Bai Ye. Bai Ye, they say you are the strongest man in the world. Nami read the newspaper and happily said to Bai Ye. Lying on the armchair, Bai Ye hugged Nami's slender waist and said nonchalantly, it's useless for them to say that I am the strongest man in the world. Bai Ye whispered in Nami's ear, I want to hear you say that I am the strongest man in the world. Listening to Bai Ye's ambiguous words, Nami's fair cheeks instantly turned red. In addition, Bai Ye's restless hands kept wandering around Nami's body. Nami panted even more and lay helplessly on Bai Ye's body. Nami said feebly, stop making trouble, if you are seen, you will be so embarrassed. Looking at Nami's delicious appearance, Bai Ye's index finger moved. It doesn't matter, it's just the 2 of us on the 3rd floor. Others can't get up. It's not very good in broad daylight. Isn't it more exciting in broad daylight? Seeing that Nami didn't resist anymore, Bai Ye let out a proud laugh. When doing things that are inappropriate for children. The 2 teenagers below were arguing about whether it was better to be a marine or a pirate. After the news about Byakuya's defeat of Shanks and others spread, the appearance of Byakuya and the Jijiru were deeply engraved in the hearts of many pirates. Normally, when a marine warship travels alone, it can easily cause attacks by pirates. However, They had not seen even a pirate ship during their voyage, let alone a pirate attack. After seeing them, all the pirates would choose to take a detour without exception, for fear of attracting Bai Ye's attention. This kind of thing makes Luffy and Kebby, who are not familiar with the world, feel very domineering. Kirby believes that only General Marine can make pirates so afraid. But Luffy felt that he could also achieve this as a pirate. As a result, the two started a fierce debate about this. It wasn't until Bai Ye and Nami came down from the third floor that they stopped arguing and both turned their heads to the other side. Bai Ye couldn't help but feel funny when he saw the two of them looking like they were out of breath. He was doing adult things on the third floor, while Luffy and Kirby were doing kid things on the second floor. Although Bai Ye didn't hear all the topics the two argued about, he probably heard some of them. For this reason, Byakuya said to Luffy, "You are right, powerful pirates and marines can make pirates on the sea so afraid. Just like the four emperors in New World, when one emperor appears, thousands of thieves avoid it, which brings great deterrence." Quote. Hearing Bai Ye's words, Luffy looked at Kebby with some pride. But Kebby still looked unconvinced, but didn't know how to refute. Bai Ye changed the topic and continued, "But there is still an absolute difference between the two in essence. The objects we were talking about just now were the pirates on the sea. If the subjects were the most common civilians on the sea, the conclusion would be completely different. They will only feel fear when facing the four emperors, because the four emperors' pirates will bring them death threats. But when they face a marine general like me, they will only become extremely excited, and they will even want me to stay in their town for a longer time. Because as long as I stay one more day, their town will be safe from pirate attacks for that day. Tell me, if it were you, would you rather meet the four emperors or the marine general? Pirates bring fear to people, while marines bring peace to people. In this multiple choice question, any normal person would choose marine." Luffy was silent for a long time and said silently, "Although I am a pirate, I did not do anything to harm civilians when I was sailing. On the contrary, several marine colonels I have met have done unforgivable things to civilians." Quote. Bai Ye chuckled and said, "This is just a simple matter of probability. Among the many pirates, there are very few who do not harm civilians like you. Most of them are people who do all kinds of evil. Most of the marines are willing to sacrifice their lives to protect civilians. Colonel Vaughn is the same, and so is Colonel Pierce. It is inevitable that a few rad droppings will appear among hundreds of thousands of marines. You cannot deny the efforts and lives of hundreds of thousands of marines for peace in the sea because of what a few marines have done. Just like you are a pirate, but you don't think that other pirates don't harm civilians like you, do you?" What Bai Ye said made sense, making Luffy fall into deep thought. Bai Ye looked at Luffy thinking hard and couldn't help but smile, thinking to himself. "I don't believe that even if Shanks attacks innocent civilians, coupled with my crazy brainwashing, he still can't deal with you, a rubber head." For a long time, Luffy wondered, but after I defeated those evil marines, I was rewarded by marines. Is it wrong for me to take action for the sake of civilians? There was nothing wrong in taking action. Bai Ye said immediately, "If I thought you were wrong, you would have become a corpse as early as in Rog Town. Then why am I being put on a bounty by marine? That's because your identity is wrong and your method is wrong." Bai Ye glanced at Nami beside him and said, "Nami should have told you about my encounter with her." Luffy didn't know why Bai Ye asked this question, but he nodded anyway. "I know, because you killed the dragon pirates who harmed Nami's village. Then you know that the reason why the dragon pirates have been harming Nami village for 10 years and have not been solved yet is because they colluded with Colonel Marine." Hearing this, Luffy couldn't help but widen his eyes and said in surprise, "I really don't know. What happened to Colonel Marine who colluded with the pirates?" Bai Ye said calmly, "I killed him with one punch on the spot." Luffy was stunned on the spot as if he was struck by lightning. At this time, he seemed to understand somewhat what Bai Ye meant by having a wrong identity. Although First was a Marine ensign at the time, I had evidence of the Marine colonel's guilt. When faced with a siege, it was not an exaggeration to kill him. As a pirate, you killed a Marine branch colonel without any evidence. You can't justify it without offering a reward. Quote. Luffy retorted, "Then if First wasn't Marine, I wouldn't be able to take care of this matter. Of course there is a way. You can collect the criminal evidence of Colonel Marine and hand it over to the colonel of the Rog Town branch who manages all branches in the East China Sea. Marine will naturally take care of this matter." Quote. But, Luffy wanted to say something else, but was interrupted by Bai Ye, "Not that much, but if your identity is Marine, just based on your grandfather's identity, as long as you have enough evidence. Even if you kill Colonel Pierce in front of everyone, no one will say anything wrong about you. But your identity is a pirate, and if you do something, you need to pay a price." Quote. In fact, what Byakuya and Luffy discussed was the most common legal common sense in reality. Ordinary people cannot use lynching without authorization. Just because he is a bad person, you cannot go up and kill him. If things go on like this, it will cause chaos in the social system and lead to greater conflicts. But in the pirate world where the strong are respected, this rule cannot be effectively followed. That's why Luffy felt that there was nothing wrong with killing those evil Colonel Marines. I have to say that Bai Ye's words today had a huge impact on Luffy. After being easily defeated by Byakuya in Rog Town, what Luffy saw and heard was completely opposite to what he thought before. What he thought was right was what Bai Ye said he did wrong. But he couldn't refute Bai Ye. These two contradictory thoughts coexisted in Luffy's head, making Luffy feel like his brain was in chaos. Bai Ye also sighed as he looked at Luffy's troubled appearance. From the original anime, it can be clearly seen that Luffy's nature is not bad. But he just did things without any brains, especially releasing a large number of pirates imprisoned in the city, which put a big question mark on Luffy's kindness. Anyone can imagine that releasing those pirates would bring countless evils to the entire sea. But Luffy still did it, confirming his identity as a pirate. But for Byakuya, Luffy's good or bad is not that important. Being able to obtain more world source power is the most important thing. At this moment, Bai Ye suddenly heard the system prompt tone. Congratulations to the host for achieving the reputation achievement, famous all over the world, rewarded with world source power, 20,000 points. This made Bai Ye become extremely excited in an instant, and he thought to himself that he finally got it together. Perhaps because the Golden Lion, Shiki only appeared in the movie version, Bai Ye only gained a total of more than 10,000 points of world source power by killing Shiki. Far lower than Bai Ye's expected profit. However, now coupled with the 20,000 points of world source power from the increase in reputation, it is enough to increase the integration degree by 10%. World source power. 91,000. Seeing the column of world source power, Bai Ye seemed extremely excited. He pulled Nami back to the third level, preparing to increase the level of integration. Looking at Bai Ye's excited appearance, Nami felt that her legs were weak and her waist and back ached. I smiled bitterly in my heart and said, "Isn't it? Are you coming again? It's so fierce that even the donkeys of the production team can't bear it." Bai Ye was not prepared to say anything more about Luffy. Let Luffy, the rubber head, think about it. If you can't figure it out, then go to Push City and think about it carefully. Maybe one day it will dawn on me. After returning to the third floor, Bai Ye leaned on the lounge chair, closed his eyes, and prepared to increase his fusion level. And Nami couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when she saw that Bai Ye was not as she thought. Bai Ye spent 76,000 points of world source power to increase the integration level to 80%. The strength has been greatly improved again, and it is only the last 2 times away from reaching 100%. The system prompt sounded again in Bai Ye's mind. Congratulations to the host for reaching 80% integration. You can randomly select the special abilities of the powerful in the world of One Punch Man. The extraction is completed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the S-level hero Silver Fang Bangu's ability, Flowing Rock Shattering Fist, and bonus Bangu's ability, Whirlwind Iron Slashing Fist. Host can perform combined skills alone, such as Blowing Air Splitting Fist, or Jiaoya Dragon Killing Fist. Flowing Rock Shattering Fist, Whirlwind Iron Slashing Fist. Is this thing as useful as my normal punch and serious punch? Bai Ye looked at his fist and complained silently. I haven't finished complaining yet. Along with these 2 skills comes the lifelong combat experience of these 2 boxing masters. It seems that Bai Ye has transformed into Bangu and Banku, experiencing how to create these 2 boxing techniques, gradually perfecting them, and how to use the boxing techniques to fight the enemy. Let Bai Ye have a deeper understanding of these 2 boxing techniques, and have combat experience far beyond ordinary people. It's better than nothing. After improving the fusion level, Bai Ye turned his attention to Nami's beautiful figure. After noticing Bai Ye's familiar gaze, Nami rolled her eyes helplessly. Okay, I was so happy just now. Is this guy a teddy? Since it is unavoidable, we can only enjoy it. Nami gritted her teeth and turned over. This time she wanted to take the initiative. New World, Whitebeard Pirates. HMPH. What's so great about defeating the red-haired pirates and a Shiki with a broken leg? It's not like Dad can't do it, and you want to replace Dad's name. What a dream. Ace looked at the newspaper in his hand with an unhappy face, and a flame suddenly rose in his hand, burning the newspaper. Let everyone in Dahai know that Bai Ye is not qualified to replace his father. Ace is confused, but Whitebeard is not. It also stimulated Ace's bottom line. The combination of the 2 made Ace desperately want to defeat Bai Ye and prove that their ideas were wrong. Whitebeard is famous for protecting his shortcomings, so Ace did not suffer any failure after joining the Whitebeard Pirates. From Ace's point of view, Bai Ye seemed unable to cope with Shanks Conqueror's domineering pressure last time. Not only did he accept Ace as his son, he also trained him as the next captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. Marco on the side looked at Ace helplessly. Since the red-haired pirates brought in Lieutenant General Garp last time because of the red-haired pirates' trouble, Ace failed to take action against Byakuya. Not only did the bounty reach 300 million belly, but he also received an invitation from the world government, allowing Ace to become a member of the 7 warlords of the sea. Ultimately defeated at the hands of Whitebeard. If he wasn't afraid that Ace would do something radical, Whitebeard would really like to meet Bai Ye and have a good fight. In addition, someone proposed that Bai Ye should replace Whitebeard and become the strongest man in the world. Whitebeard looked at the aggrieved Ace, shook his head and said, "My son, I cannot agree to this matter." It even stimulated Ace, who often proposed to his father that he wanted to go out alone to defeat Bai Ye. Ace said excitedly, "Why? Don't you even believe me, Dad?" Of course, Ace's several proposals were rejected by his father. Just today, after reading the latest news in the newspaper, Ace approached Whitebeard again. Ace's resentment towards Bai Ye became deeper and deeper. Dad, just let me go. With my current strength, I can definitely defeat Bai Ye. It's just that Ace has had a smooth journey since going to sea, and he even picked up the top-level Logia Devil Fruit, the Burning Fruit, on an island. Although Whitebeard is the strongest man in the world and has more strength than the other three emperors, he knows very well that Byakuya, who was able to defeat Shanks, Ben Beckman, and kill Shiki, even if his strength is not as good as that of himself at his peak, it is not far behind. This made Ace remember Bai Ye deeply and train harder with the goal of defeating Bai Ye. In this case, if it were not for Ace's self-esteem, Marco and Whitebeard would have made this matter clear to Ace. And he was easily defeated by Bai Ye, and was also ridiculed by Bai Ye. Later, with Ace's persistence, Whitebeard expressed his appreciation for Ace's talent. After seeing the news that Bai Ye was so popular on the sea that some people suggested that Bai Ye should replace his father's name. Ace's strength has made a qualitative leap, and he easily defeated the Marine Lieutenant General who captured him. But Ace decisively refused. At this time, Ace was even more proud, and with the formed Spade Pirates, he even approached the Whitebeard Pirates, the strongest among the four emperors. It's far more than Ace can handle. Coupled with Marco's description of Bai Ye, Whitebeard became very interested in the young man Bai Ye. In other words, Ace has hardly suffered any setbacks since he went overseas. As a result, Shanks and others were able to be defeated in less than a month, which was obviously inconsistent with common sense. Until that trip to Fishman Island, his brother Marco and his friend Jinbei were seriously injured under attacks by others. Whitebeard looked at the excited Ace and Marco and looked at each other, sighing helplessly. Chapter 184 The Mysterious Duo. Advertise here. Under Ace's constant questioning, Whitebeard suddenly remembered that Marco had mentioned it to him before. The pirate group affiliated with the Whitebeard Pirates harvested a special devil fruit, which is suspected to be the Logia Devil Fruit. It is a considerable amount of wealth, waiting for the crew of the main ship to receive it. Originally, Whitebeard was going to send Captain Thatch of the 4th Division to receive it, but now it seems that it is better to let Ace go. Of course, a Logia Devil Fruit would not be taken seriously by Whitebeard. It's just that Whitebeard wanted to find something for Ace to distract him. So that Ace wouldn't have to spend the whole day yelling that he was going to die. So, Whitebeard laughed heartily and said, "Ha ha ha, my son, of course it's not that I don't believe you, it's just that I have other things that you need to do now." Ace said dubiously, "Dad, what do you want me to do?" Whitebeard tells Ace about the devil fruit. And in order to highlight the importance of this matter, Whitebeard specifically described the Logia devil fruit as extremely rare. It seems that just eating that devil fruit can make the Whitebeard pirates have another strong man who is comparable to the captain of the 1st to 5th divisions. Hearing that it could strengthen the Whitebeard pirates, Ace quickly patted his chest and promised, "Dad, don't worry. I promise to bring that devil fruit back safely. Okay, there will be a party tonight, and you can leave early tomorrow morning." Whitebeard waved his hand and settled the matter. When Ace heard that there was going to be a banquet, he actually forgot about Bai Ye and yelled to find Saki and asked him to make more barbecue for him. After Ace left, Whitebeard looked at Ace's back and fell into silence. After a while, he asked, "Marco, why don't you want me to take action against Bai Ye?" In fact, Whitebeard's original intention was to teach Yoruichi a lesson on behalf of Ace, so that Bai Ye would know that the people of the Whitebeard pirates were not something he could touch. But after Marco's strong dissuasion, Whitebeard had to give up this idea. But seeing Ace attach so much importance to defeating Bai Yoruichi made Whitebeard rekindle this idea. Marco looked at Whitebeard's scarred body and the various infusion tubes on his arms, and said earnestly, "Dad, you really don't need to go to Bai Ye to fight. You think I'm no match for Bai Ye?" Marco shook his head and said, "Although Bai Ye's strength is not as good as yours, we must not underestimate him." Defeating 3 Emperor-level experts in a row by himself was something that even the young Garp had never done. Quote. When Marco mentioned Garp, Whitebeard looked a little dazed, as if he had seen the days when he fought with Roger, Shiki, Sengoku, and Garp every day. Whitebeard said solemnly, "But Garp didn't do it when he was young, it doesn't mean that I can't do it." The aura on Whitebeard's body disappeared in a flash, and the clouds in the sky dissipated silently. Marco said helplessly, "Dad, judging from your current physical condition, the entire Whitebeard pirates and our entire family do not want you to continue fighting for these trivial matters." Faced with his son's sincere words, Whitebeard fell into silence again. Whitebeard understands that the entire Whitebeard pirates are basically supported by himself. The tiger is not dead, but its power is still there. As long as he lives for a day, no one will dare to lift the tiger's beard and do anything to his sons. But if something happens to him, Marine, the other 3 pirate kings, and other forces will all take action against the Whitebeard pirates who have become the most popular pirates. This is the importance of Whitebeard to the Whitebeard pirates. Moreover, everyone in the Whitebeard pirates did not want their father to take action for them despite his illness. They wanted to spend more time with Whitebeard. Even Ace, who had deep resentment towards Bai Ye, only said that he would defeat Bai Ye himself and had no intention of letting his father take action for him. After a long time, Whitebeard sighed, "I'm old. I can no longer act as recklessly as I did when I was young. Marco also said sadly, Dad, I believe Ace means the same thing. Whitebeard looked at Marco with his father's love in his eyes. You are all good boys. In the evening, during the banquet, Marco looked at Ace having fun with the other brothers and thought that it would be better for Ace to find a younger brother to accompany him on this trip. First, you can keep an eye on Ace and won't let Ace sneak away to find Bai Ye. Secondly, you can also do some enlightenment work for Ace. Marco soon decided on the person to accompany Ace on the trip, the captain of the fourth team, Saki. Sage is the ship's chef, and Ace is a gourmand. The two hit it off immediately and have a very close relationship. It wouldn't be too appropriate for Sage to accompany Ace. When Marco told Sage about this, Sage took it without any hesitation. He also promised that he would definitely do a good job in Ace's ideological work. The next day, when Ace was traveling with the people from the second team, Saki arrived with the people from the fourth team. Ace was not dissatisfied with the fact that Sachi accompanied him. Instead, he felt that it was a great thing to be able to eat the delicacies cooked by Sachi on the road. While chatting on the road, when Saki asked Ace about the purpose of this trip, Ace told Whitebeard's words. Ace said with some pride, Dad said that this devil fruit belongs to Logia, and it is extremely rare and has only appeared a few times in the entire ocean. Once you get it, it is very likely that you will add a strong person to your family, so I was specially sent to receive the fruit. Quote. Thatch sighed, such an important Logia devil fruit must be extremely powerful. At this time, Ace seemed to remember something, patted Thatchy on the shoulder and said, by the way, among the top 5 captains, it seems that you and Brother Beasta are the only ones who have never eaten devil fruits. Brother Beasta concentrates on swordsmanship and is unwilling to take devil fruit. Then why not just give this powerful devil fruit to you and take it directly? By then, maybe you will be stronger than Brother Marco. Quote. Hearing this, Saki smiled and said, ha ha ha, after you said that, I really want to know what kind of ability this devil fruit has. It's easy to say. After you get the devil fruit, you can just go back and tell Dad about it. After saying that, the two began to eat meat and drink heavily. But even if you notice, it doesn't matter. As long as you join the Whitebeard pirates, you will be Whitebeard's godson, so everyone is a brother. But from their words, there was no hint of any fear of the Whitebeard pirates. The two of them were walking swaggeringly on the street. According to the intelligence public, one of the captains of the affiliated pirate group was in a bar in the town. A sharp thorn suddenly poked out of the ground, coming directly from underneath a person and emerging from the top of his head. How could he watch the coveted devil fruit slip away from his hands? It doesn't matter if we don't know. As long as we kill enough, we will be able to lure Ace out sooner or later. The mysterious and powerful Logia devil fruit, could it be the darkness fruit? One of the duo said disdainfully, what happened to the Whitebeard pirates? Sooner or later, this sea will be ruled by our night organization. The two of them talked to each other. If outsiders heard their words, they would definitely think these two people were crazy. Recalling that he had stayed in the Whitebeard pirates for more than 26 years for this devil fruit, he suppressed his nausea and called Whitebeard's father for 26 years. At this time, the Knight organization is considered a top force in the New World, and is basically recognized as the 5th emperor of the New World. As the words fell, a man smelling of alcohol was seen pointing a wine bottle at the two of them, shouting, we are members of the Whitebeard pirates. Are you here looking for trouble? Don't you want to live? Many people realized that the situation was not good and that the sea might change. You are really weak. He didn't notice that all his words were heard by an ugly fat black man not far away. It's just that in the recent period, no one from the Knight organization seems to have appeared on the sea. The two of them looked at each other and thought to themselves, once the bait was buried, it was obvious that the fish had bitten the hook. But these words have extremely special meaning to this big black fat man. Then countless thorns were poked out one after another. In less than half a minute, blood flowed into the tavern, and everyone died, and the death was extremely miserable. At the same time, on an island on the edge of the sea controlled by the Whitebeard pirates, two figures wearing black waning moon robes and strange masks suddenly appeared. Unexpectedly, the Knight organization would come to the territory of the Whitebeard pirates. The special costumes of the two attracted the attention of most people on the street. Looking at the familiar costumes. According to intelligence, there is a pirate group affiliated with Whitebeard on this island, and they should be aware of Ace's whereabouts. At this time, the duo noticed a guy who looked similar to Public behind the crowd, holding a phone bug and seemed to be making a call. There is nothing that needs to be avoided between each other. I just hope I can lure Ace out as soon as possible. This outfit is so weird. Thinking of this, the big black fat man looked at Sachi with a sharp light in his eyes. If it is really the dark fruit, then don't blame me for ignoring the brotherhood of 26 years. Someone actually dared to say the words to kill the affiliated pirate group of the Whitebeard pirates in the territory of the Whitebeard pirates. After the man hung up the phone, the ground in the entire tavern began to shake violently. When everyone panicked. Knight organization. The drunkards in the tavern suddenly sobered up a lot. After all, the Knight organization's reputation has also been very famous recently. The duo came to the door of the tavern, kicked the taverns away, smelled the smell of wine inside, and asked with a little disgust, is that public? This is basically the same as seeking death. The big black fat man murmured, if it is really the dark fruit, and if Saki asks Whitebeard to take it, wouldn't he not even have the slightest chance? Someone soon recognized it and exclaimed, isn't this the costume of the Night Organization? How could someone from the Night Organization appear here? Chapter 185. The picture shows the difference. Advertise here. Dad, something happened. Among the affiliated pirate groups, the Pabrik pirates on Gal Island were suddenly attacked by the Night Organization. Now I'm afraid the situation is in danger. After Marco received Pabrik's call, he quickly reported the news to Whitebeard. After all, this matter is related to the 5th Emperor Night Organization of the Sea, so it must be paid enough attention to. Whitebeard waved his big hand, slapped the armrest of the chair, and said angrily, we have never had any interaction with the Night Organization, and we didn't expect that they would dare to take the initiative to cause trouble for us. Marco, take someone to investigate now. If you encounter people from the Night Organization, capture them. I want to see how brave they are to attack the Whitebeard pirates. Quote. Whitebeard can hardly remember who the guy who dared to attack the Whitebeard pirates' territory was last time. It seems it's time to show the strength of the Whitebeard pirates to the sea. So that no cat or dog would dare to bully him. The closest ones to Gal Island are Ace and Thatch. I have told them about this incident and asked them to stop by the island to investigate after receiving the fruit. For such things, Marco has already made thorough arrangements. With Ace and Thatch here, as long as Yi, the leader of the Yi organization, is not present, there won't be any problem. After listening to Marco's arrangement, Whitebeard nodded with satisfaction. Marco has always made him feel at ease when doing things, and he is almost the most worry-free among his many sons. What puzzled Marco was why the Night Organization suddenly took action against the Whitebeard pirates. There was absolutely no sign or reason. This gave Marco an uneasy feeling in his heart. Whitebeard said with a serious expression, this time I must take action against the Night Organization and let the entire sea know that as long as I am here, no one can touch the Whitebeard pirates. Then I will go and tell the captains of each team about this now, so that they can be ready to fight at any time. This time Marco didn't object to Whitebeard's idea of taking action. Because this matter is far worse than the personal feud between Bai Ye and Ace. When the Night Organization took the lead in killing the pirate group affiliated with the Whitebeard pirates. If the Whitebeard pirates don't make a strong counterattack, it will lead to various suspicions from other forces, thinking that Whitebeard is old and sick and no longer as brave as he once was. Once people have such doubts, other forces will make various temptations, which will actually put the Whitebeard pirates into greater trouble. It would be better to cut through the mess quickly and deal a heavy blow to the Night Organization with the power of thunder. Let everyone in the sea know that the Whitebeard pirates are still the strongest among the 4 emperors, and Dad is still the strongest man in the world. At this time, Ace and Thatch, who had just received the devil fruit, immediately sailed the ship to Gal Island after receiving the news from Marco. During the dinner, the big black fat man staggered up to Ace and Saki carrying a bottle of wine. He glanced at the things in a bag on Sachi's waist as if nothing had happened. He asked slightly drunkenly, Captain, what happened? You rushed to Gal Island in such a hurry. Faced with the inquiries from his subordinates, Ace did not hide anything and told what happened on Gal Island. Hearing this, the big black fat man threw out the wine bottle in his hand, looking extremely angry. That bullshit Night Organization dares to provoke our Whitebeard pirates. They are simply seeking death. Sachi on the side nodded in agreement. Yes, guys like this who dare to provoke us must pay the price with blood. The 3 of them chatted about this matter for a while, until the big black fat man deliberately brought the topic to the devil fruit they obtained today. Captain Saki, can you show me the devil fruit I harvested today? Ace looked at the big black fat man strangely and asked doubtfully. Teach, you haven't eaten the devil fruits I've captured over the years, so why are you interested in devil fruits today? Teach had already responded to this. He touched the back of his head with his right hand and pretended to be curious. I heard that this devil fruit is the same as Captain Ace. It is an extremely rare Logia devil fruit. I have almost never seen Logia devil fruit before, so I want to see what is the difference between this Logia devil fruit and other devil fruits. Quote. Sachi laughed and said, don't tell me, I have never seen such a fruit before. It looks so black, just like a broken fruit. After hearing Sachi's description, Teach's expression did not change, but there were already endless waves in his heart. Could it be that the black devil fruit is really the dark fruit that I am looking for? Ace was also stunned, seeming to remember something. Back on Fishman Island, when he and brother Marco were let go by Bai Ye seemed to have said that Teach was an equal opponent to him, and also said that he was about to find the dark fruit. Let Teach no longer have to waste time lurking in the Whitebeard pirates. At that time, Marco and Ace were dubious about Bai Ye's words. After returning, they conducted a secret investigation and found nothing unusual about Teach. He thought Bai Ye was trying to sow discord between them, so he let the matter go. But seeing Teach asking so abnormally about the appearance of this devil fruit, and the fact that the appearance of this devil fruit is completely black, plus the dark fruit mentioned by Bai Ye, Ace figured that this devil fruit might actually be a dark fruit. After all, when I first obtained the burning fruit, the appearance of the burning fruit was red like a flame, and its appearance completely matched the fruit's abilities. If what Bai Ye said is true, it means that this good brother who looks honest in front of him has actually been lying to them all along. However, Ace cannot say these words directly without definite evidence. Therefore, Ace had to observe Teach's actions silently. Teach had no idea that he had been tricked by Bai Ye, whom he had never seen before, which aroused Ace's suspicion. The goal of many years is very likely to be right in front of us, which makes Teach can't wait to say. Captain Sage, can you take it out and show it to me? I also want to see how unique this devil fruit is. Okay, I'll take it out and show it to you. Thatch did not raise any suspicion and directly took out the box containing the devil fruit from the bag on his waist. When the box was opened, Teach's eyes flashed as he saw the devil fruit. In an instant, he was sure that this devil fruit was the dark fruit he had been dreaming of for the past 26 years. If his concentration was not strong enough, Teach almost wanted to attack Thatch directly and snatch the dark fruit. But Teach knew in his heart that now was not a good time to take action. Even if you are indeed stronger than Thatch and Ace combined, you still have to resist the thought of taking action. Take action to grab the loot and attack your companions. Those who commit these two crimes will receive the most severe punishment in the Whitebeard pirates. Teach doesn't think that after obtaining the dark fruit, he will have enough strength to deal with the Whitebeard pirates. So he must come up with a foolproof strategy to obtain the dark fruit and avoid Whitebeard's pursuit. Tisk tisk, this devil fruit is really dark. Teach did not reach out to touch the devil fruit, but after reading it, he talked about other things and left. However, what Teach didn't expect was that being so cautious would arouse Ace's suspicion. Ace pondered for a moment and said to Saki very cautiously, "Brother Saki, you must be careful with Teach these days. I'm afraid he will attack you." Hearing Ace's words, Saki woke up from his drunkenness. "Why do you say that?" In order to make Saki believe his words, Ace told Saki all what Bai Ye said and his guess. Sachi asked, "Did Bai Ye tell you these?" Ace nodded solemnly, "I don't think he would tell me this for no reason." Sachi promised, "Okay, I understand, I will be careful with Teach during this period." Although Thatch said he would be careful about Teach, he didn't take Ace's worries to heart at all. In Sachi's view, Teach had already called him Whitebeard Daddy before he joined the Whitebeard Pirates. Over the past 26 years, he has gotten to know Teach quite well. I don't think there is anything abnormal about Teach's strength, and Teach doesn't look like a scheming person. It was probably because Ace wanted to defeat Bai Ye so much that he paid too much attention to anything Bai Ye said, so he began to doubt Teach under Bai Ye's influence. Thatch secretly thought, it seems that Brother Marco is right, Bai Ye's influence on Ace is too serious. It's time to find some time to do some psychological work on Ace. After returning to the room, Teach lay on the bed and tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. All he could think about was the appearance of the dark fruit. Recalling the previous conversation between Ace and Thatch, after returning to the main ship, Thatch will ask Whitebeard to take the dark fruit. With Sachi's status in the group, Whitebeard would naturally not object. If he made the same request, Whitebeard would probably let Thatch take it and let him wait for other devil fruits. In other words, if you want to obtain the dark fruit, you have to do it yourself. Moreover, it must be done before returning to the main ship. Now that he decides to take action, Teach must think about how he can avoid Whitebeard's pursuit after taking action against Thatch and Ace. At this time, Teach suddenly remembered what Ace said about the reason for their trip. For some unknown reason, the Knight organization suddenly attacked the affiliated pirate group under the main ship. According to Whitebeard's temper, he must gather the strength of the entire group to fight against the Knight organization. To demonstrate the inviolable status of the Whitebeard pirates. This means that the Knight organization is in a hostile position with the Whitebeard pirates. Moreover, the Yi organization's whereabouts have always been secretive. As long as they don't show up, no one can find them. Doesn't this fully meet your requirements? As long as you grab the dark fruit and join the Knight organization, you can avoid the pursuit of the Whitebeard pirates. If Sachi and Ace find out during the robbery, just kill them directly, which will be considered as a pledge to join the Knight organization. Teach is a person who dares to think and act. After deciding on the plan, he will look for opportunities to implement the plan. On Gal Island, when Thatch and Ace arrived, the entire island had turned into a dead island, the town had turned into ruins, and the ground was covered with rotting corpses, exuding a disgusting stench. Countless vultures hovered in the air, feeding on the corpses of the dead on the island. Damn it! The people of the Knight organization deserve to be damned. Seeing such a tragic situation that he had never seen before, Ace couldn't help but cursed angrily, raised his hand and released a blazing flame ray. The extremely hot flames swallowed up the vultures in midair, and the vultures' corpses fell crazily like rain. Sachi said coldly, the Knight organization is not looking for trouble, it is looking for death. Since the Whitebeard pirates occupied this sea area, all the islands in this sea area and the residents living on them have been protected by the Whitebeard pirates. In the past 10 years or so, not to mention the occurrence of vicious incidents like Gar Island, there have been very few people who dare to break into this sea area. What the Knight organization did on Gar Island can basically be regarded as a signal to declare war on the Whitebeard pirates. Even Teach, who wanted to cooperate with the Knight organization, did not expect that the Knight organization was so good at what it did. Killing all the people on Gal Island is completely the rhythm of fighting the Whitebeard pirates. But this also proves that the Knight organization has the ability to challenge the Whitebeard pirates. This made Teach more determined in his plan to snatch the dark fruit and join the Knight organization. Ace and Thatch did not find a single living person after arriving on the island, nor did they find any traces of the Knight organization. After reporting the news to Marco, the two prepared to return to the main ship. However, just as the ship was setting sail, the sound of conversation suddenly sounded on the silent island. I didn't expect things to go so smoothly. The one who was lured here for the first time was Ace, the Fire Fist. Let's go, follow them, and find a time to explain the plan to Ace. If he agrees, that's fine. If he doesn't, just take action. Understood. Everything is done by the Knight organization anyway. If Whitebeard wants to find it, he will only go to the Knight organization and Bai Ye. When he mentioned Bai Ye, his tone was obviously cruel, and it was obvious that this person had a lot of hatred towards Bai Ye. In the middle of the night, the entire ship was silent, and almost everyone was asleep. Except Teach, who is full of worries, because tonight is his last chance to take action. If they pass tonight, they will return to the main ship tomorrow. He didn't have the courage to do it in front of Whitebeard. But these are no longer important, Teach sneered. Captain Sachi, you keep saying you don't believe it, but you haven't moved the dark fruit to other places. Sage stood up from the bed and said sadly, Teach, we have lived together for more than 20 years. If you want this dark fruit, you can tell us, so why would you do such a thing? But if we take action against Saki and Ace, the problem will become serious. Ace. Captain Ace. Teach will be pursued by the Whitebeard pirates relentlessly. In contrast, Teach is more willing to try the first method. Certainly. At this time, Teach faced the front and back attacks from Saki and Ace, and the situation was not very optimistic. Teach looked at the sincere look on Sachi's face, and seemed to be moved by Sachi's words. He knelt down in front of Sachi and said in a trembling voice, Captain Sachi, are you telling the truth? Ace told me, and the fact that you came to steal the dark fruit was also said by Ace. Thatch said in a daze, I didn't believe it at first, but now I completely believe it. Under precise force control, no sound was made. Teach had no idea when he exposed this information in front of Ace. How do you know this Logia devil fruit is a dark fruit? What happened tonight was completely beyond his expectation. At this moment, the door to the room was pushed open, and Ace walked in from the door, looking at Teach with extremely strange eyes. In this case, even if Whitebeard discovers it, the problem will not be serious, as long as he does not appear within the sphere of influence of the Whitebeard pirates. But after opening it, Teach's expression suddenly changed. What was inside the box was not a dark fruit at all, but a black stone. And I know that tonight is your last chance. If you are really interested in the dark fruit, you will definitely take action tonight. Teach noticed something unusual in Sachi's words. It would be best to steal the dark fruit quietly. Thatch advised, Teach, as long as you are willing to admit your mistake, I can ask my father to give you this dark fruit. Through these 2 days of observation, Teach knew that the dark fruit was placed in Sage's room. Teach felt that the situation was not good, and subconsciously turned his head to look at Saki on the bed, only to see Saki, who was sleeping, opening his eyes and looking at him. From Sage's eyes, Teach could also see shock, regret and disbelief. So I told Brother Saki in advance that I wanted to give you a try. I didn't expect that such a simple test would test you out as a person with ulterior motives. Quote. Teach was overjoyed, and out of caution, he opened the box to confirm whether it contained the dark fruit. Teach looked at Sachi who was sleeping on the bed and breathing evenly, and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It seemed that the plan was going smoothly. There was only one chance, he had to seize it. Enter the room and close the door. Sachi let out a long sigh and didn't answer. Following the established route, he came to the door of Sachi's room and slowly pushed the door open. When the sky is approaching dawn, this is the time when people sleep the deepest, and it is also the time when Teach chooses to take action. Brother Saki really didn't believe it, but it was only with my insistence that Brother Saki changed the place of the dark fruit. Looking at the package on the table beside the bed, Teach opened it quietly. As expected, there was a box containing the dark fruit. Chapter 186 Death of Saki. Advertise here. Sachi thought Teach had repented, and when he quickly stepped forward to help Teach up, he saw the cold smile on Teach's face. I was suddenly shocked, and before I had time to react, I felt a sharp pain in my abdomen. I saw 3 steel claws composed of sharp blades piercing directly into Sachi's abdomen. The steel claws twisted inside Sachi's body and jerked out, bringing out a large amount of flesh and blood, even mixed with some internal organ fragments. Ace, who was on the side, had no idea that Teach would suddenly take action and seriously injure Thatch, and shouted angrily. His right fist was already covered in leaping flames, and he hit Teach. Facing Ace's attack, Teach seemed unfazed and kicked the seriously injured Saki away. Then, the steel claws covered with rich-armed domineering blocked Ace's punch head-on. Ace secretly thought that there was a huge gap between Teach's current strength and the strength he had shown before. It seemed that Bai Ye really didn't lie to herself. Teach laughed weirdly. Captain Ace, are you shocked by my strength? If it weren't for the dark fruit, do you think a little devil like you is worthy of being the captain of the 2nd Division? Ace saw that Teach's strength could not be won in a short period of time, so he did not choose to continue to fight head-on. Ace spit out a mouthful of blazing flames at Teach, and while Teach was dispelling the flames, he came to the seriously injured Thatch. At this time, Sachi's abdomen was exposed with a very deep circular wound, and the damaged internal organs inside could even be seen through the wound. It is conceivable that Teach's claw in the sneak attack was to take Sage's life. Ace quickly tore his clothes into strips and wrapped the wound to prevent excessive blood loss. But in the face of such severe trauma, such crude treatment measures are only a drop in the bucket. Teach did not continue to attack immediately, but stepped forward and asked, "Where are you hiding the dark fruit? If you don't hand it over, none of you will survive." Saki looked darkly at the longtime brother in front of him who behaved completely opposite to before. Is the dark fruit really that important? Is it more important than our brothers and father who have been together for more than 20 years? Hearing Saki's words, Teach laughed wildly and said, "Ha ha ha, I stayed in the Whitebeard Pirates for 26 years just to have the opportunity to obtain the dark fruit. Compared with the dark fruit, the lives of you people are not worth mentioning at all. And don't mention Whitebeard to me. Calling that old guy daddy for more than 20 years almost disgusted Lousy to death." Quote. Teach knows the terrifying power of the dark fruit and the unique hidden effects of the fruit. He knew very well that as long as he obtained the dark fruit, he would be able to become a figure comparable to the four emperors with his own strength. As long as he relies on the special effect of the dark fruit to obtain a fruit that is as powerful as the shock fruit, Teach even dares to challenge Whitebeard head-on. By that time, the entire sea will surrender under his feet. Because of this, he took the risk of being chased by the Whitebeard pirates and took action against Thatch and Ace. When Thatch and Ace heard Teach insulting Whitebeard in front of them again, they couldn't suppress the anger in their hearts. "I won't allow you to insult Dad like this." Several wisps of flames rose up from Ace's body, looking like he was always ready to take action. Teach didn't take Ace's threat seriously at all. In his opinion, using his own strength to deal with Ace and the seriously injured Saki was a sure thing. There won't be any surprises. Teach said coldly, "If you hand over the dark fruit, I can let you live. But if this continues, I'm afraid Captain Thatch will leave earlier than Whitebeard." What Teach said is not wrong. If Isaac's injury does not receive timely and effective treatment, he may not survive tonight. Ace looked at Saki who was in pain and pointed to the bed reluctantly. Of course, Ace didn't think that Teach would let people like him go after getting the dark fruit, as he said. But for Sachi's life, Ace has no other choice. Teach's plump body rushed to the bedside at a very fast speed, and sure enough he found the dark fruit under the pillow. "Ha ha ha ha, I finally got it. I finally got it." Teach laughed crazily. Hi, here I come." Teach directly stuffed the entire dark fruit into his mouth and swallowed it. For Teach, although the devil fruit tastes similar to shit, when his wish for many years comes true, even shit tastes so delicious. At this time, Ace supported Saki and rushed out of the room, hoping to find the ship's doctor to treat Saki. But after rushing out of the room, Ace and Thatch were stunned. Their team members were lying on the entire deck, looking as if they had been knocked unconscious. How is this going? Ace came in with Teach, and before he came in, all the team members were fine. But Teach has always been under Ace's nose, and there is no way he would have the chance to do such a thing. That means it was done by another force. Those three words instantly appeared in Ace's mind: Night Organization. No wonder there was no sound from outside when they were taking action just now. At this time, after taking the dark fruit, Teach came out of the room and prepared to deal with Ace and Thatch. But looking at the scene in front of him, Teach was also shocked. However, Teach quickly realized that this was probably done by the Night Organization. At this moment, a burst of applause suddenly came from the other side of the ship. Two people wearing special costumes and masks from the Night Organization came over. "Not bad, it's really good. I didn't expect to see a good show when I came here." If Whitebeard were to know that his sons were fighting each other for a devil fruit, he would probably be furious to death on the spot, right? The sudden appearance of the Night Organization made things a little more twists and turns tonight. The two of them were originally planning to cooperate with Ace and let Ace convince Whitebeard to take action against Bai Ye. If they are unwilling to cooperate, they will kill Ace on the spot, throw the crime to the Night Organization, and reveal that Bai Ye is a member of the Night Organization. Let Whitebeard take the initiative to seek revenge on Bai Ye. But who would have thought that before they even talked to Ace about cooperation, they heard the dispute between the three Teach and saw Teach seriously injuring Sage. This made them change their attention instantly, so they knocked out everyone else on the boat to prepare for the next plan. When Ace saw the appearance of the Night Organization, he couldn't help but feel a trace of sadness in his heart. With Sage seriously injured, it would have been extremely difficult for him to face Teach alone. Ace took a closer look and saw that a dark vortex appeared on Teach's chest, sucking his fist tightly. "I hope I can join the Night Organization and do my part to fight against the Whitebeard pirates." Listening to Teach's screams, before Ace could be happy, he felt a strong suction coming from his right fist, making it impossible for him to pull away. My subordinate understands. The attack range of the burning fruit is very large, and it is suitable for medium and long-distance combat. Close combat is not what Ace is good at. Moreover, Teach's melee strength is indeed extremely strong, and the steel claw in his hand has reached the point of perfection. Teach kept his posture very low because he knew very well that if he wanted to avoid the pursuit of the Whitebeard pirates, he could only rely on the Night Organization. This is undoubtedly a huge piece of bad news for Ace, who relies almost all his strength on the Xiao fruit. One of them said, "Okay, you can be considered a smart man. In this case, you will kill these two people as a vote to join the Knight Organization." Moreover, the Knight Organization knew that they had broken up with the Whitebeard pirates, so naturally they would not treat themselves as enemies. Now two more powerful men from the Knight Organization appeared, pushing Ace to the edge of the cliff. "Now it's okay, the Knight Organization has delivered it to your door." However, the place where Ace and Teach fought was on the ship, which was a small place, and there were unconscious team members everywhere on the ground. Ace didn't dare to use extremely powerful moves to avoid accidentally hurting his own people. Teach endured the pain and took advantage of Ace's weakness to grab Ace's neck with the steel claw in his hand. Originally, he was still worried about how to find the mysterious Knight Organization after taking action. This is an excellent opportunity. Teach instantly let out a shrill scream. He did not expect that the side effects of the dark fruit would be so painful. Things went surprisingly smoothly. Teach. But for Ace, the combat environment on the ship has complete restrictions on the use of his fruit abilities. Of course, he would not place all his life on these two members of the Knight Organization. After a few moves, Ace was exhausted and full of flaws. Teach bowed to the two members of the Knight Organization and said, "Two adults, I am now at odds with the Whitebeard pirates." At this time, Teach deliberately used a flaw to let Ace's flaming right fist hit his chest. Ace said in shock and anger. At this time, Saki, who was almost dead, suddenly stood up, pushed Ace away with all his strength, and pushed Ace directly into the sea. "Captain Ace, just surrender and I'll take care of you." What makes Ace even more anxious is that the ability to burn the fruit seems to have been completely absorbed by the vortex and can no longer be used. And he ended up with the miserable end of being disemboweled. The two members of the Yi organization looked at the respectful Teach in front of them and looked at each other with a slight smile in their eyes. The steel claw carried by Teach's right hand suddenly grabbed Ace, but Ace had to put Thatchy aside and raised his hand to parry Teach's attack. Even when attacking Ace and Saki, Teach always had part of his attention distracted by the Knight Organization. When Teach saw the appearance of the Knight Organization, his mood was completely different from Ace's. If the three of them were to combine, then there would be no way for him, Saki and his team members to survive. Chapter 187 Lifting the Shackles. Advertise here. These days, as big news that shocked the world came out one after another, the whole sea went crazy. 3 days ago, the Knight Organization suddenly launched an attack on the Whitebeard pirates. Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard pirates, and Saki, the captain of the 4th Division, died at the hands of the Knight Organization. Quote. The Knight Organization actually dared to take the initiative to find the Whitebeard pirates, the strongest among the 4 emperors. And also killed 2 senior cadres, Ace and Saki. This operation organized by Yi was beyond everyone's expectations. No one knows why the Knight Organization took action against the Whitebeard pirates, who had nothing to do with him. However, many people feel that this behavior of the Knight Organization is completely seeking death. Even if the leader of the Knight Organization, Yi, has a record of defeating Big Mom. But they still don't think that Knight is Whitebeard's opponent. Just like Whitebeard and the other 3 are called the 4 emperors. But no one would put the 4 of them on the same level. Because in everyone's mind, Whitebeard's strength is half a head higher than the 3 pirate emperors. Moreover, with Whitebeard's extremely defensive character, he would never stop until the Knight Organization was completely slaughtered. The behavior of the Knight Organization this time directly touched Whitebeard's reverse scale. When the battle between the Whitebeard pirates and the 2 emperor-level forces of the Knight Organization begins, the entire new world may be in chaos again. No matter what the outcome is, once the war is over, the entire new world will face another round of reshuffle. If this news was enough to shock everyone, then the next news shocked everyone's jaws even more. According to confirmation from both the Big Mom pirates and the red-haired pirates, Marine's new General Bai Ye is a member of the Knight Organization. Marine General Bai Ye is a member of the Knight Organization. If the guy who attracted the most attention during this period of time was undoubtedly Marine General Byakuya. Wound Shanks, cut off Ben Beckman's arm, and killed the legendary pirate, Golden Lion, Shiki. These 3 battles undoubtedly pushed Bai Ye directly to the altar. This makes Byakuya not only a formidable deterrent among pirates. In Marine, under the special authorization of the Warring States period, Bai Ye was directly promoted as a role model for Marine. As a result, the reputation of Bai Ye, the new Marine General, even surpassed that of the 3 original Marine Generals. But just when Bai Ye was in the spotlight, it was actually reported that Bai Ye was a member of the 5th Pirate Emperor Knight Organization. This is like saying that Shanks, one of the 4 emperors, is a member of the world government. This kind of thing that subverts ordinary people's cognition is even more unimaginable. Even if the relationship between Shanks and the world government is indeed confusing, ordinary people would simply not believe this news. However, the difference with Byakuya's news is that it was confirmed by the 2 major forces of the 4 emperors' pirates, the Red Hair pirates and the Big Mom pirates. The credibility is still quite high, regardless of whether Bai Ye is a member of the Knight Organization or not. This seed of doubt has been buried in everyone's hearts. This has a big impact on Bai Ye. Because the world government will not allow Bai Ye, who may be one of the Knight organizations, to assume the position of Marine Fleet Admiral and take charge of Marine. There is no doubt about this. The most important thing is that the whereabouts of the Knight organization are mysterious and difficult to find, which is known to everyone on the sea. Even if the Whitebeard pirates want to seek revenge from the Knight organization, as long as the Knight organization does not show up, they will not be found by the Whitebeard pirates. But as soon as this news came out, the Whitebeard pirates had a clear goal. Moreover, Bai Ye and Ace have some grudges, which is also known to Dahai. The combination of the two undoubtedly expanded the suspicion on Bai Ye. Countless people want to see the reactions of Marine and the Whitebeard pirates. New World, Whitebeard pirates. The atmosphere on the main ship was extremely heavy, with Marco, Josie, Beasta, and everyone else exuding terrifying murderous intent. Especially the Whitebeard sitting on the throne, the expression on his face shows no joy or sorrow. But his clenched fists and the bulging veins on his arms clearly revealed the rage of this old man who had been traversing the sea for decades. For a long time, Whitebeard looked at the people who were kneeling in front of him, and he let out a sigh of relief with a complex expression. Everyone, get up. You, like Ace and Saki, are all my sons. This matter has nothing to do with you, so you don't have to feel guilty about it. The one who really needs to blame myself is me. As your father, I failed to protect you. Quote. Although the Knight organization attacked and killed Ace and Thatchy, it did not kill the members of the second and fourth teams. So after they woke up from the coma, they found Captain Thatch's body lying on the ship, and Captain Ace disappeared. He quickly rushed back to the main ship to inform him of the news, feeling guilty for the deaths of Ace and Thatch. Chaozi's eyes were red and his face was full of anger. He stood up and shouted, Dad, all this was done by the Knight organization. Let's go find the Knight organization now and kill all of them to avenge Ace and Thatch. Beasta also shouted, it is said that Marine General Bai Ye is a member of the Knight organization. Let's catch Bai Ye first, interrogate the location of the Knight organization, and kill him to avenge Ace and Thatch. Don't worry yet. Facing the words of grief and indignation from his two sons, Whitebeard waved his hand, turned to look at Marco and asked, has Sachi's body been buried? Marco nodded with a sad look on his face. So, has Ace's body been found? Marco opened his mouth to comfort him. Dad, Ace's body hasn't been found yet, maybe Ace is not dead now. Maybe he was captured by the Knight organization, or maybe he escaped from the Knight organization. Quote. Whitebeard knew that this possibility was extremely low, but he still hoped that Ace could survive. But for Ace's safety, he still needed to confirm. Does any of you know what Ace was doing at that time? Whitebeard asked the team members who were traveling with Ace. The team members shook their heads. They just knew that they were knocked unconscious by people from the Knight organization. After waking up, there was no trace of Ace. But at this time, a person in the crowd stood up and said with some hesitation in his grief, Dad, I vaguely saw the whereabouts of Captain Ace when I was unconscious. When Whitebeard heard this, his eyes lit up and he asked anxiously, really? Teach, tell me about the situation quickly. Yes, the person speaking was none other than Sage's murderer, Marshal D. Teach. In fact, when Teach said this sentence, he was also struggling in his heart. As the chief murderer, he naturally does not want to appear too eye-catching. If Whitebeard's suspicions were aroused, then his return to the main ship this time would be a complete suicide. But the situation that night was very complicated. If he didn't stand up and direct Whitebeard's attention completely to Bai Ye, he wouldn't survive long either. At that time, after Teach solved Saki, he wanted to kill all the other team members and then join the Knight organization. But what Teach never expected was that the two guys wearing Knight organization clothes in front of him were not from the Knight organization. He is a member of the Secret Service organization, CP0 feet belonging to the Celestial Dragons. They stopped Teach from trying to kill other team members, but instead asked Teach to pretend to be unconscious and go to Whitebeard to complain with these people. The reason is simple. If Teach disappears, Whitebeard's suspicion will definitely be on Teach. But if Teach and the other team members are alive and go back and tell Whitebeard that it was the Knight organization that did it, Whitebeard will definitely not doubt Teach. Moreover, if these things were told to him by Whitebeard's sons personally, Whitebeard would be even more convinced that it was Yi who did it. It can be said that the emergence of CP0 feet not only exceeded Teach's expectations, but also broke his original plan. But it also gives Teach another choice. As long as Teach puts all the blame on the Knight organization and Bai Ye when he sees Whitebeard, they will not spread the news. And can give Teach the status of king of the franchised country. In other words, after this incident ended, Teach's identity changed from a pirate to the king of the franchised country. This was a complete surprise for Teach. Although Teach does not value the position of the king, he does care about the identity of the king of the franchise country. In this case, Teach will not be captured by Marine and will have enough time to secretly develop his own power. Moreover, Teach also has his own plan. After he possesses the dark fruit, he can control the power of a devil fruit. With this rare opportunity, Teach naturally wants to make the most of it. When it comes to the strongest devil fruit ability in the sea, everyone may have their own opinion. But in Teach's opinion, the strongest devil fruit is naturally Whitebeard's shock fruit. In the past 26 years, Teach has watched Whitebeard use the shock fruit to defeat countless powerful enemies and develop the shock fruit to its limit. So after obtaining the dark fruit, what he wanted to control most was the power of the shock fruit. However, Teach still faces a problem: how to kill Whitebeard to obtain the power of the shock fruit. At this time, Teach thought of the order of CP0 feet and pushed all problems to the White Knight and Knight organizations. Bai Ye's strength is well known to everyone in the sea. As the fifth emperor of the sea, the strength of the Yi organization can be imagined. If the Whitebeard pirates were allowed to go to war against the White Knight and Knight organizations, Whitebeard would definitely try his best. Under such circumstances, Whitebeard's seriously ill body was unable to support him for much longer. When both the Whitebeard pirates and the Knight organization were defeated, Teach suddenly took action to plunder Whitebeard's shock fruit ability. Under the pressure of CP0 feet, the temptation to become the king of the franchised country, and the purpose of seizing the Junjun fruit, Teach could only stand up and throw all the blame on the White Knight and Knight organizations. Dad, before I passed out that night, I saw with my own eyes those two beasts of the Knight organization knocking Captain Ace into the sea. When Teach said this, his red eyes were full of tears, and the look on his face revealed his powerlessness and self-blame for not being able to save Ace. Because he was too sad, his whole body began to twitch slightly. Ace fell into the sea. Almost everyone knows what happens to a devil fruit user who falls into the ocean. Now Whitebeard no longer had any luck. Base. Whitebeard grabbed Kong Yunchi, one of the 12 skills of the supreme sharp knife, and the 2-meter-long blade suddenly vibrated and made a harsh sound. An invisible shock wave penetrated from the blade, shot straight into the sky, and cut a crack in the sky. Whitebeard stood up, pointed the blade in the direction of the G5 branch, and shouted with wet eyes, "Target, Marine G5 branch. We must get the information about the Knight organization from Bai Ye's mouth and avenge Ace and Thatch. Revenge, revenge, revenge." Quote. The entire Whitebeard pirates were excited, and every order was carried out in an orderly manner. This time, Whitebeard will gather the strength of the entire group to lay siege to the Marine G5 branch. Such a big move by the Whitebeard pirates was naturally not hidden from the eyes of everyone on the sea. Countless people are speculating that the Whitebeard pirates will find Bai Ye next. At this time, Big Mom and Kaido also gave orders for the entire group to prepare to set off. The two of them had already formed an alliance under the persuasion of CP0 feet to jointly deal with the White Knight and Knight organizations. After all, Byakuya has a grudge against Kaido, and the Knight organization has a deep grudge against Big Mom. The two of them have a special relationship. Even if Byakuya is not a member of the Knight organization, his status as Marine General alone is still worthy of Kaido and Big Mom's action. This time Whitebeard wants to take action against Bai Ye, the two of them must go to help. When Bai Ye, who had just arrived at the Sabayati Islands, saw these two pieces of news, he almost sprayed Nami with a mouthful of water. Who is this guy who has done bad things and puts his hat on the Knight organization? Moreover, do Big Mom and Shanks want to die? Bai Ye knew very well the impact this news would have on him. This undoubtedly completely ruined Byakuya's plan to stay in Marine. Becoming a Marine Fleet Admiral basically has nothing to do with Byakuya. Fortunately, Bai Ye's reward for becoming a Marine General has come down, which is a full 50,000 points of world source power. While Bai Ye was slightly relieved, her resentment towards Big Mom and Shanks became even deeper. According to this situation, the world source power gained by Bai Ye becoming Marine Fleet Admiral will definitely not be less than 80,000 points. Even 100,000 points is not impossible. With the support of Sengoku, Zephyr, Aokiji, Garp and others, Byakuya does not feel that the probability of becoming a Marine Fleet Admiral is lower than a Kainu. But now that this news has come out, Bai Ye can basically give up the idea of becoming a Marine Fleet Admiral. In this case, what's the point of Bai Ye continuing to lurk in Marine? Anyway, all the world source power that should be earned has been earned, and Bai Ye can't count on the rest. It doesn't make any difference whether he wants to be Marine General or not. Doesn't this mean that he can use it at will and fully utilize 80% of Saitama's strength? I'm afraid the 5 elders, Shanks, and Big Mom don't know about their smart moves. Instead, he untied the shackles Bai Ye had set for himself and released a man strong enough to destroy the world. Chapter 188 The Three Emperors Gather 5000. Advertise here. Marine Headquarters, Sengoku Fleet Admiral Office. Sengoku, Garp, and Zephyr, 3 representatives of the older generation of Marine, gathered together. No one spoke, and the atmosphere seemed extremely depressed. Moreover, everyone's expressions are different, and it's hard to tell what they are thinking. This depressing atmosphere lasted for a long time, and was finally broken by the Warring States period. Hey, Zephyr, you are Bai Ye's teacher. Do you think Bai Ye has anything to do with the Yi organization? Warring States' mood at this time was extremely complicated. After all the evidence, he thought that Bai Ye had nothing to do with the Yi organization. He was also planning to push Bai Ye to the position of Marine Fleet Admiral before retiring. After learning that Bai Ye was in a 1-on-2 situation, he beat Shanks and Ben Beckman away. Moreover, he also successfully killed the Golden Lion, Shiki, and saved Donghai. Not to mention how excited Sengoku was feeling at that time. Bai Ye has such a solid record, coupled with the recommendations of his old friends. It is not that difficult to become a Marine Fleet Admiral. But who would have thought that before he could be happy, it was reported that Bai Ye was a member of the Yi organization. Of course, this news came from the mouth of the pirates. Sengoku didn't believe it at first, thinking that it was just the pirates' slander against Bai Ye. But after receiving a call from the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Fleet Admiral, Cyborg, Sora, Sengoku could no longer remain calm. Kong made it clear on the phone that after some investigation, the news that Bai Ye was a member of the Yi organization might be true. But there is currently a lack of conclusive evidence against Bai Ye. So in order to prove Byakuya's true identity, Sora conveyed the death order from the five elders. No matter what happens next, Marine will not be allowed to do anything to support Bai Ye. If there is an act of supporting Bai Ye, the world government will directly define Bai Ye as a member of the Knight organization. Warring states knew the meaning of empty words very well, and now everyone in the sea knew. Whitebeard's two sons Ace and Thatch died at the hands of the Knight organization. And Bai Ye happens to be a member of the Yi organization. According to intelligence from the front, the Whitebeard pirates have begun to gather. Their next target is likely to be Bai Ye. The world government does not allow Marine to support Byakuya just to see if Byakuya's identity will be exposed when he faces the Whitebeard pirates. After all, Whitebeard's strength is well known to everyone, and no one would think that Whitebeard can no longer wield the sword due to old age and physical illness. Even though Bai Ye's recent achievements are extremely brilliant, in the eyes of the top powerhouses like them, Whitebeard is still the strongest in the world. Bai Ye will probably lose more than he wins against Whitebeard. If Bai Ye's identity is related to the Knight organization, when he cannot withstand the pressure brought by Whitebeard, his identity will definitely be exposed, allowing other members of the Knight organization to help. If it has nothing to do with it, it just depends on whether Bai Ye's own methods are tough enough. This method is to let Bai Ye use his own life to prove his innocence. Faced with the order from above, warring states felt helpless, so he called Garp and Zephyr together to discuss. But who would have thought that these two old guys would not even fart when they came to the office? Garp always looked sad, as if someone had died in his family. Zephyr was calm and composed, as if Bai Ye had nothing to do with him. After another long silence, warring states finally couldn't bear it anymore and cursed loudly. I'm sorry, can you two old guys have a word with each other? I called you two here to discuss things, not to act cool. Facing the furious warring states, Zephyr said calmly, let's not talk about whether this news is true or not. So what if Bai Ye is? It is an indisputable fact that the Knight organization has never taken action against Marine since its emergence. Moreover, the Knight organization took action to seriously injure Big Mom, exposing the darkness of Shichibukai. Marine was able to abolish the Shichibukai system and helped us a lot. Quote. Sengoku raised his eyebrows. According to what you said, we Marine have to thank the Knight organization. I didn't say that, I was just discussing the matter. Zephyr turned his head away and did not look at warring states. In fact, when Zephyr said these words, he felt very guilty. He kept scolding Bai Ye, this turtle's son, maybe he might actually be a member of the Yi organization. Moreover, according to Zephyr's understanding of Bai Ye, he even felt that Bai Ye was probably the leader of the Yi organization, Yi. The reason why Zephyr made such a guess was not without purpose. From when Byakuya proposed abolishing the Shichibukai system and killing the celestial dragons in his office, Zephyr saw that his apprentice's pursuit was not ordinary. In addition, the Knight organization killed Crocodile and exposed the dirty behavior of the Don Quixote family. It just gave Byakuya an excellent reason to abolish the Shichibukai system. Zephyr had never thought about it this way before, but now after warring states reminded him, he suddenly felt that the possibility was not small. However, Zephyr naturally would not poke the tires of his apprentice secretly, so he only talked about the positive effects of Yi organization. No mention of other negative impacts. Before Sengoku could say anything, Garp on the side couldn't hold back anymore and gritted his teeth and said, if Bai Ye is really a member of the Yi organization, I must make him look good. Hearing this, Zephyr was immediately unhappy. You old guy, why did my apprentice recruit you? Why did you recruit me? One of my two grandsons died at the hands of the Knight organization. One was caught by Bai Ye in the East China Sea and was said to be imprisoned in the city. Now, my two grandsons have all fallen into Bai Ye's hands, why did he recruit me? Garp looked angry and clenched his fists tightly. Looking at that look, he seemed to want to beat Bai Ye's teacher Zephyr. Forehead. Regarding Garp's furious mood, Zephyr felt speechless for a moment. What Bai Ye did was really unethical. I have two grandsons, so why don't you leave one of them to take care of him until he is old? It's better now, if one is killed, the other will be imprisoned in Pushing City. What do you want Garp to do? And seeing how Garp wanted to take action, Zephyr really wanted his apprentice to come over and protect him. Zephyr has no doubts about Garp's strength. When he was at his peak, he was no match for Garp, not to mention that he was old and frail now, and his strength had declined a lot. But Garp's strength remains roughly the same. If there was a fight, I probably wouldn't be able to punch Garp enough. So, Zephyr asked tentatively, since we are old comrades in arms and have a close relationship, your grandson will be my grandson. How about I ask Bai Ye to let your grandson go? Even if it is to calm you down. Quote. Garp was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and it seemed that this was not unacceptable. Sengoku, who was on the side, had a dark look on his face and said angrily, "You really think that first, the Marine Fleet Admiral, don't exist? Are you actually discussing how to release the pirates in front of me?" Garp said unhappily, "That's my grandson." Sengoku pointed at Garp's nose and cursed, "How dare you say that? As a marine hero, the two grandsons you taught are all pirates. Just like this, you still ask for leave every day and say you want to teach your grandson. I don't even know how you teach it. What a piece of trash." It was obvious that Sengoku was really angry, and he spat all over Garp's face. And Garp also hurriedly defended, saying that it was all Shank's fault, and he didn't want to say anything like this. It makes the atmosphere in the whole office more relaxed. Just when the three people in the Warring States period were quarreling over Bai Ye met Smoker when passing by the Sabayati Islands. After meeting Bai Ye, Smoker didn't say much else, but just assured Bai Ye, "Whether you are a member of the Ye organization or not, I will choose to continue working with you. As long as you can still remember our conversation in Rog Town, realize what you told me." Quote. Bai Ye didn't expect that Smoker would make such a decision, even leaving his identity as Marine. So, Bai Ye promised Smoker, in less than a year, the era of great pirates will end. After what happened with Smoker, Bai Ye couldn't help but wonder how many people in Marine would be willing to follow him if his identity as a member of the Knight organization was exposed. Teacher Zephyr, General Aokiji, Sengoku Fleet Admiral, Yishao, Ain, Dasky and the soldiers of the G5 branch, what decisions will they make? If Byakuya first came to the pirate world, he completely regarded the characters in it as NPCs. Luffy and the Straw Hat Pirates all have to step aside, and he is the real protagonist. The lives, dreams, and pursuits of these NPCs have nothing to do with me. I only care about how much world power they will bring to me. But during the nearly 3 years of being together, Bai Ye's thoughts began to change little by little. When doing something, he will also consider whether it will hurt the people who really care about him. Because of this, he did not reveal his identity immediately and let everyone know his invincible strength. But now, the opportunity to show strength may be coming soon. Because Bai Ye understands that with the Whitebeard's character of protecting his shortcomings, he has probably already killed the G5 branch. Bai Ye didn't want to let Yishao and others take the blame for him, especially when it was a fault he didn't do. Thinking of this, Bai Yeun looked in the direction of New World, Big Mom and Shanks, since this news came from your mouths. Then you must know whose hands Ace and Saki died. When the time comes, I will beat you until you admit it yourself. In fact, Bai Ye vaguely guessed the force that would do such a thing. The world government is extremely suspicious. But Bai Ye didn't want to expose it immediately and destroy the world government directly. He wanted to see if he knew he might be a member of the Knight organization. Will anyone come to help me? Use this to distinguish between ourselves and the enemy. It's nice to be the icing on the cake, but Bai Ye prefers people who help him in times of need. Moreover, Bai Ye only wanted to keep people close to him, and as for those who had a grudge against him, he would kill them all with one punch. New World, G5 branch. The base commander may be the 5th emperor of the New World, and the Whitebeard pirates, the strongest among the emperor-level pirates, are about to attack. The atmosphere in the G5 branch, which should be the most chaotic, is still the same as usual. It was as if these two major events had nothing to do with them. Even among the soldiers, many people are saying, if the commander of Bai Ye base is really a member of the Knight organization, what will we do? Simple, continue to work with Bai Ye base commander. Anyway, it won't have much impact on us people whether we become Marines or not. That's right, it's so cool to work with the director of Bai Ye base. That's right, when we become a member of the Knight organization, we can rob whoever we want. You couldn't rob Marine before, but now you can even rob Marine, it's exciting just thinking about it. This idea is not the idea of a few individuals, but the idea of the vast majority of people in the G5 branch. As this statement spread, everyone heard about the temporary base director's smile. In fact, Yishao wasn't too surprised when he learned the news. He even felt that this was consistent with the scene he saw at that time. Isn't that Dark Justice the most realistic portrayal of the Knight organization? Until now, Yishao didn't know what kind of pressure Bai Ye was under. If you hadn't seen the shortcomings of Marine and world government. Why did Byakuya, a young man with a bright future who became a Marine general at the age of 20, form the Knight organization alone? White Knight is so great. It is my honor to work under a young man with such great ambitions. This is a real idea. If Bai Ye knew that he had used his knowledge to guide Yishao's perception and let Yishao see the picture he carefully constructed. It can actually bring about such a big effect, I guess it will make you smile crookedly. However, although Yishao and the others did not care about Bai Ye's true identity, they had to pay attention to the attack of the Whitebeard pirates. Under the arrangement of Yishao and Ferguson, the soldiers were prepared for battle at any time, and all the artillery in the warehouse were mounted on the city wall to prepare for the next battle at any time. Yishao made up his mind, no matter what, he would defend the G5 branch before Bai Ye came back. But beyond Yishao's expectation, the day after they made preparations, the Whitebeard pirates approached the Marine G5 branch aggressively. And this is not the worst situation. When Yishao heard about the two Emperor-level pirate groups near the G5 branch, The Big Mom pirates and the Beasts pirates are also starting to make moves. After the news that the G5 branch was also going to be targeted, Yixia almost cried on the spot. It's understandable if you want to say that 3 Emperor-level pirate groups join forces to attack Marine headquarters. After all, the strength of the Marine headquarters is not weak. Although it is difficult to gather all the strength to fight against the 3 Emperor-level pirate groups, it is not without resistance. But if you want to say that 3 Emperor-level pirate groups jointly besieged a Marine branch, this is a bit beyond ordinary people's understanding. This is like using an anti-aircraft gun to kill mosquitoes, it is completely overkill. This made Yishao start to doubt his determination. No one can withstand the siege of 3 Emperor-level pirate groups. Bai Ye, please come back quickly. Why should I bear the responsibility for the sins you have committed? The news quickly spread across the sea. No one expected that a small G5 branch would be attacked by 3 Emperor-level pirates. But that seems a little inaccurate. To be precise, the White Yoruichi actually provoked 3 Emperor-level pirates. Oh, no, it's 4. There are also 2 disabled brothers of the red-haired pirates. But for some unknown reason, the red-haired pirates did not participate in the siege of the G5 branch. You must know that compared to Byakuya's damage to Big Mom and Kaido, it is far less than the damage to the red-haired pirates. Now that even Big Mom and Kaido are preparing to take action, it is really surprising that there is no news from the red-haired pirates. The next day, Yishao, Ferguson, Ain and Dasky appeared on the city wall with serious expressions, looking at the densely packed fleet that appeared not far away. Everyone's heart is extremely heavy. They all knew that if Bai Ye did not come back in time, what would happen next would be that the entire G5 branch would be wiped out, and all of them would die at the hands of the pirates. In other words, even if Bai Ye rushes back, facing the siege of Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom, it may not be able to reverse the situation of the battle. The Whitebeard pirates came from the north. The Big Mom pirates came from the west. The Beast pirates came from the south. As they approached, dark clouds gradually shrouded the sky in these 3 directions, and the dark clouds threatened to destroy the city. Thick, continuous dark clouds completely covered the G5 branch, giving people a breathless atmosphere. Even Yishao, who also had the strength of a general, felt that his heart was extremely heavy, and his keen sense of knowledge and color gave him a strong sense of crisis. Yishao felt that he might even die in this siege. But even so, Yishao did not choose to escape alone, but ordered to the soldiers, "Get ready to fire. We must wait until the White Knight base commander comes back." In the sky above the G5 branch, Lucci and others looked at Yishao and others in trouble, and suddenly felt troubled. Enel suggested, "How about we go down and help them?" Of course, Enel is not doing this out of kindness, he just wants to fight against the top strong man in the sea like Whitebeard. Luo frowned and said worriedly, "If we don't take action, the G5 branch will be destroyed in the hands of pirates in less than half a day." Lu Qi wondered, but Master Bai Ye did not give the order to take action. If we take action without authorization, it will be confirmed that Master Bai Ye is a member of the Yi organization. If we ruin Lord Bai's plan then, we will be irredeemable. Quote. Just when the news came out that the 3 Emperor-level pirate groups besieged the G5 branch, there was also news that Bai Ye was rushing to the G5 branch. In everyone's eyes, Bai Ye's behavior of going to the G5 branch at this time was like seeking death. Instead of going up there and dying in vain, it's better to escape back to the Knight organization. Anyway, given the mystery of the Yi organization, as long as Bai Ye doesn't come out, Whitebeard and the others won't be able to find Bai Ye even if they turn New World upside down. Besides, the G5 branch is Marine's G5 branch, so what does it have to do with you Bai Ye? But to everyone's expectation, Marine did not take any action, as if the matter had nothing to do with them. Now, Marine's move obviously abandoned the G5 branch. In other words, he abandoned Bai Ye. Chapter 189 Here I Come. 6300. Advertise here. In fact, when the news reached Marine headquarters, Sengoku was also very embarrassed. According to common sense, if the Marine branch is besieged by pirates, the Marine headquarters must provide support. Especially when faced with the siege of 3 Emperor-level pirates, even the Marine headquarters would probably be destroyed, let alone the small G5 branch. After this battle alone, it is estimated that even the island will be gone. However, the world government sent an order not to allow Marine to participate in this incident. This undoubtedly puts the warring states period in a dilemma. On one side are the mandates of the world government. On one side are the lives of all the soldiers of the G5 branch and Bai Ye. Sengoku knew very well that with Bai Ye's character of taking revenge, if Marine sat idly by and allowed things to develop this time. But if Byakuya can survive the siege of 3 Emperor-level pirates, I'm afraid that Bai Ye's fate with Marine will be over. Warring states recalled what Zephyr had said before, even if Bai Ye is a member of the Knight organization, under his control, the Knight organization did not harm anyone in Marine, but instead helped Marine eliminate many pirates. Single quote. Warring states' expression was complicated, and Bai Ye's words of comfort to him suddenly sounded in his mind. Marine exists to protect justice on the sea, not to be a dog for the world government or the celestial dragons. At this moment, there was a sudden knock on the door, interrupting Warring States' thoughts. The soldier entered the door and said anxiously, Sengoku Fleet Admiral, Chief Instructor Zephyr and Lieutenant General Garp are heading to the New World. After hearing the soldier's words, Warring States murmured subconsciously, have these two old guys made a decision? I'm going to help my apprentice, what are you doing here, an old guy? Faced with Zephyr's doubts, Garp said confidently, my grandson is still on your apprentice's boat. Your apprentice is rushing back to the G5 branch to die. I can't watch my grandson die with him. Quote. After saying this, the two looked at each other and smiled. Zephyr knew what Garp was thinking, and it was true that he would save his grandson. But among them, I am afraid there is also the idea of saving Bai Ye and all members of the G5 branch. Sengoku also made a decision at this moment, regardless of so much, he must give Bai Yoruichi certain support. At that time, the world government will have no choice but to remove itself from the position of Marine Fleet Admiral. Laozi doesn't want to do it anymore. Warring States knew that in a battle of this level, only the top warriors in the sea were qualified to participate. In other words, if you want to participate in this battle, you need at least a general-level combat capability. Vice Admiral Marine probably wouldn't even be able to withstand the aftermath of the battle. As a result, Sengoku immediately issued orders to the 3 Marine generals who were spread out. But after making 3 consecutive phone calls, Zhongguo's face instantly became extremely ugly. Among the 3, Aokiji agreed the most straightforwardly. It can be heard from Aokiji's words that even if Sengoku did not issue an order, Aokiji would go to the G5 branch to support Byakuya. This was not beyond Sengoku's expectations. After all, Aokiji and Byakuya have a very good personal relationship under normal circumstances, so there is nothing wrong with him coming to help when Byakuya encounters difficulties. But Akainu and Kizaru refused Sengoku's order. He refused on the grounds that the world government would not allow Marine to take action. According to Kizaru's reluctant character, he chose world government between the Warring States period and world government. Who let the world government be the one who pays him a salary? But Akainu not only refused Sengoku's order, but also bluntly advised Sengoku not to disobey the world government's order for someone who was probably a member of the Knight organization. Moreover, the world government has made a guarantee with Akainu that as long as they are not involved, the next Marine Fleet Admiral will definitely be Akainu. Therefore, it is impossible for Akainu to go to the G5 branch to provide support. After hanging up the phone, a self-deprecating smile appeared on Zhongguo's face. As a Marine Fleet Admiral, he should have the authority to order Marine Admirals. However, due to the interference of the world government, the Marine Fleet Admiral is now just a decoration. It really echoes Bai Ye's words. After a long while, Warring States let out a long breath, looked at the G5 branch on the map, and thought to himself, Bai Ye, I can only help you so far. As the Marine Fleet Admiral, Sengoku is also responsible for the safety of Marines' family members living in the Marine headquarters. Unless absolutely necessary, Sengoku cannot leave Marine headquarters. Above the G5 branch, the figure of Morgan appeared, holding a synchronized image bug, completely broadcasting the situation here. Light screens appeared in the squares of larger islands across the sea, showing the G5 branch and the 3 Emperor-level pirates. At this moment, hundreds of millions of people are watching this war that seems to have almost no suspense. Everyone discussed one after another, how long do you think the G5 branch can sustain? 3 hours. 1 hour. Someone sneered, 1 hour. Whitebeard alone can shatter the entire island in 1 minute. What's more, there are now 3 Emperor-level experts. If they can survive for half a minute, they are considered powerful. Quote. Isn't it said that the strength of Yishao in the G5 branch is comparable to that of a general? After all, he can hold on for a while longer. You have a general-level combat power, and I have 3 Emperor-level combat powers. Plus the entire pirate group, there is no comparison at all, okay. By the way, do you think Bai Ye will come back? What are you doing here? Are you going to die? Without Marines' full efforts to help, no one could survive such a siege. Quote. Let's see, maybe when the G5 branch is completely destroyed, Bai Ye won't even show up. The 3 Imperial pirate groups are gradually approaching the G5 branch and are about to enter the range of the artillery. Facing the pressure that would make ordinary people collapse, Yishao stood at the front of the wall. The figure who was not tall when he smiled looked extremely majestic in the hearts of the soldiers. After all, with Yishao's strength, he can fight his way out alone before the pirates encircle him. But Yishao did not do this. He chose to garrison the G5 branch with the soldiers. Yishao would do such a thing completely out of his heart. It was impossible for him to escape alone and disregard the lives of the soldiers. Moreover, Yishao believes that Bai Yoruichi will be able to come back at the critical moment. Ferguson came to Yishao's side with a solemn expression and said softly, Major General Yishao, the pirates have entered the shooting range. This means that the war is about to begin. Hearing this, Yishao took a deep breath and yelled, all soldiers obey the order and strive to shoot out all the artillery shells in the shortest possible time. Fire. Yishao gave the order, and more than 100 artillery mounted on the city wall opened fire at the same time, with eye-catching flames coming out of the dark muzzles. The cannonballs drew a beautiful arc in the sky and fell towards the pirates. Without sparing artillery, the shells fired one after another even formed an airtight network of shells in the sky. When the bomb fell, a figure appeared from each of the 3 Emperor-level pirates. Jin screamed, his body ignited with flames, and he turned into a pterosaur and soared into the sky. He used his hard wings as sharp blades and flew past the bombs at extremely fast speeds. There was a flash of black light, and the landing shells were chopped into 2 halves, like fireworks blooming in the sky. Marco also turned into a phoenix. As his wings flapped, the light blue flames on his body roared out, engulfing all the bombs that fell on the Whitebeard pirates. The bomb exploded directly in the flames. On the Big Mom pirate's side, it was Katakuri who rushed forward without hesitation. His arm instantly turned into a fine net made of glutinous rice, collecting all the bombs in the net. As soon as Katakuri exerted his force, hundreds of bombs exploded directly in the net without causing any impact. This is the strongest person among the 3 Emperor-level pirates besides the captain. Everyone's strength is between the 2nd echelon and the 1st echelon in the sea. Even if they are not as strong as the general level, they can still struggle with them for a while. However, within the G5 branch, the only general level combatant is Yishao. If the battle begins, just these 3 people at the level of Emperor's deputy can hold Yishao to death. What's more, there are Big Mom and Kaido watching eagerly, plus the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. Yishao originally firmly believed that Bai Ye would be saved as long as he came back, but now his confidence was a little shaken. There are too many strong people here. Is it really useful to come back by Bai Ye? Before Yishao could think too much, he heard an angry shout from the direction of the Whitebeard pirates, "Where's Bai Ye? Let him come out quickly and confess his accomplices. Otherwise, let everyone in your G5 branch be buried with Ace and Saki." The beast pirates also spoke out, "Byakuya killed 2 of my Linkong's 6 sons, and today I must take Byakuya's life to avenge them." Under the gaze of Big Mom, Katakuri had no choice but to shout, "Byakuya, as a member of the Knight organization, caused trouble in all countries and caused countless damage to the residents of all countries. Today, my anti-pirates are also here to take revenge on Byakuya." For some reason, after Katakuri shouted these words, the anxiety in Katakuri's heart not only did not decrease, but intensified. He naturally knew that Bai Ye was from the Yi organization. In order to protect his family, Katakuri had no choice but to bury this secret in his heart and dare not reveal it. But what Katakuri didn't expect was that her mother actually knew Bai Ye's true identity. This made Katakuri become nervous instantly. If Byakuya thought that he had leaked it to his mother, then Byakuya would kill his whole family. Facing her revenge-hungry mother, Katakuri has no better way. The best ending now is to use the power of 3 Emperor-level pirates to strangle the White Knight and Knight organizations, preventing Byakuya from taking revenge on the Big Mom pirates. It was with this thought in mind that Katakuri took the initiative to stop the bomb before. Yishao and the others couldn't help but reveal a wry smile when they heard the 3 parties' words. This guy Bai Ye can really cause trouble. The point is, after Bai Ye has caused trouble, it's really not a good idea for me, an old guy, to take the responsibility for him. After Yishao cursed in his heart, he calmed down and said in a deep voice, "Although Bai Ye is not in the G5 branch now. But we, Marine, are not subject to threats from you pirates. If you want to fight, then fight." Ferguson and his soldiers shouted in unison, "Fight." At this moment, the Marine soldiers' originally low morale also recovered, and everyone was determined to die. At this moment, Jin suffered a loss last time. Now that his side has the advantage, it is a good time to take revenge. Jin instantly slashed out several powerful wind blades with his wings, attacking Yishao one after another. The wind blade is extremely fast, and its power is not much weaker than the great swordsman's slash. With a smile, he staggered his steps. When the knife was unsheathed, a purple tiger came out along with the blade. With the tiger's ear-splitting roar, the wind blade shattered on the spot. The tiger's power continued unabated, seeming to trap Jin tightly. But Jin was smarter this time and quickly flapped his wings to avoid the tiger's attack. He only felt his body sink, but there was no other big impact. The purple tiger jumped into the sky until it disappeared. Jin said coldly, "Yishao, do you think you can use the same trick on me a second time? I will definitely take your life today to avenge that day." After hearing Jin's threat, Yishao showed a smile. "It is true that the same move cannot be used on you twice, but who told you that it is the same move?" Jin was stunned, not knowing what the smile meant. At this moment, Yishao waved the crutch in his hand downwards and shouted, "Gravity induction." Everyone suddenly heard several whistling sounds coming from above their heads, and subconsciously looked up to the sky, which instantly frightened them half to death. I saw 3 meteorites with a diameter of more than 1,000 meters falling rapidly. The dark rocks were covered with flames caused by rapid friction with the air, which looked extremely terrifying. Everyone watching the live broadcast took a deep breath when this happened. It is simply unimaginable to use one's own power to move meteorites from the sky. It wasn't until this moment that they truly realized how powerful Yishao was. At this moment, Yishao thought very clearly that letting the 3 meteorites fall to the 3 forces respectively would not achieve certain results. It is better to let them all fall to one force. In this case, maybe some pirates can be killed. And Jin, who was the first to provoke, naturally became Yishao's first choice. Facing the falling meteorite, Jin immediately wanted to escape, but he felt that his body was restrained by invisible forces and his movements became extremely slow. Under this situation, Jin had no choice but to grit his teeth and push his strength to the extreme. His wings were like two sharp swords more than 20 meters long, waving crazily in the air. It leaves very deep traces on the meteorite. Crack. With Jin's unremitting efforts, the first meteorite was finally broken open. However, the second meteorite came one after another. Jin couldn't avoid it and was hit directly from the front. Even with his wings protected in front of him, he still ended up with multiple fractures all over his body. This was not over yet. The third meteorite continued to roar towards us. Jin suddenly panicked. If he resisted harder, it would probably take some time to recover from his injuries. At this time, Kaido below saw Jin's embarrassed appearance and seemed a little dissatisfied, but he still chose to rescue Jin. Kaido bent his legs slightly, stood up suddenly, and directly pressed the front half of the main ship into the water, while the back half was tilted up. If the people on the boat hadn't clung to the fence, they would have flown out long ago. Kaido rushed towards Jin's direction, grabbed Jin's body with his huge left hand, and slammed his right fist towards the meteorite. Boom! Hearing a violent roar in the air, a meteorite with a diameter of several thousand meters split apart directly under Kaido's punch. There was only a faint layer of black ash on Kaido's fist, which had no effect at all. Countless gravel splashed out, and its power was even stronger than the sword energy of an ordinary swordsman. Kaido grabbed Jin and returned to the ship, almost throwing him out again. Jin looked at Kaido and said shamefully, "I'm sorry, Lord Kaido, I've embarrassed you." Kaido focused his attention on the not-so-tall purple figure on the city wall. "It's not a shame for you. After all, that guy is indeed much stronger than you." Big Mom looked at Yishao and her eyes darkened. It seemed that if she wanted to kill Bai Ye, she needed to kill this guy first. Although the battle between Yishao and the Beast Pirates was very brief, it was extremely enjoyable for those who watched it. This is the battle of the top warriors in the sea, and every move carries such terrifying power. Yishao felt that the meteorite he was pulling was shattered by Kaido's punch, and his heart sank involuntarily. Kaido alone is so difficult to deal with. Whitebeard, who is known as the strongest man in the world, how terrifying is his strength. Able to defeat the strong men of an era. At this time, Whitebeard stood up and waved the Kong Yunchi in his hand, pointing the blade at Yishao. The aura emanating from his body made Yishao feel extremely uncomfortable. This is the invincible aura that Whitebeard has accumulated from sitting in the position of the strongest man in the world for a long time. You faced our three-party siege and refused to retreat, and you didn't choose to escape alone. You are a man. But my two sons died in Bai Ye's hands, and there must be an explanation today. I'll give you 3 more hours. If Bai Ye doesn't show up within these 3 hours, then all of you will die. After saying that, Whitebeard turned to look at Big Mom and Kaido, and said coldly, "In these 3 hours, whoever takes action will be my Whitebeard's enemy. Then don't blame me for not recognizing the old friend with the big sword in my hand." To single-handedly suppress Big Mom and Kaido is something that only Whitebeard can do if you look at the sea. Big Mom and Kaido were both very dissatisfied with Whitebeard's threat, but they didn't say much. Although they are a 3-party alliance this time, they have not chosen priority among them. It's just that Whitebeard's strength is at the top of the 3, so it is vaguely dominated by the Whitebeard pirates. But if you want Big Mom and Kaido to completely obey Whitebeard's orders, that's a complete fantasy. If Whitebeard is seriously injured in this battle, he might not wait for Teach to take action. The two of them are going to work together to get rid of Whitebeard and divide the territory of the Whitebeard pirates. And their main goal now is to kill Bai Ye and destroy the Ye organization. If Bai Ye didn't show up, even killing everyone in the G5 branch 100 times wouldn't have any effect. Now Bai Ye is on the road, and they are surrounding him without attacking, so they can attract Bai Ye over. If they take action to destroy the G5 branch and make Bai Ye choose to escape, it will break their original plan. In this extremely depressing atmosphere, time passed by second. For Marine, every minute and every second is a kind of torture. 3 hours is like their last survival time and the beginning of the countdown to death. As the 3 hours came to an end, anxiety spread among the soldiers. Even Ferguson and others don't know when Bai Ye will come back. However, Ain and Dasky were extremely determined that Bai Ye would come back to save them. Just like that time when he was besieged by the Beast Pirates. When there was less than 10 minutes left, Bai Ye still didn't appear. Yishao no longer had any illusions at this time and decided to fight to the death. Countless people who watched the live broadcast also expressed emotion. First, didn't expect Marine General Bai Ye to be such a person who was greedy for life and afraid of death. To be honest, it's understandable. After all, Bai Ye is only 20 years old, why bother to deal with such a certain death situation? He didn't want to die. The entire G5 branch died because of him. For a time, countless people criticized Bai Ye verbally and writtenly. Seeing that the 3 hours were about to end, Whitebeard sighed silently. I thought Bai Ye was a young hero who had the strength of a general at the age of 20 and did so many horrific deeds. But he didn't expect that he would actually choose to abandon his companions for the sake of his own life. Fortunately, I wanted to see him before. Quote. When the time was over, Whitebeard looked at the unmoving smile on the city wall, a hint of admiration flashed in his eyes, but he must do what he said. Ace and Saki also want revenge. 3 hours have come and Bai Ye has not appeared yet. You can prepare to say your last words. The Kongyunchi in Whitebeard's hand began to tremble slightly under the influence of the fruit, and the power contained in it caused waves to appear in the space. Big Mom and Kaido on both sides were also ready to take action. When the 3 of them go all out, no matter how strong they are, they will still die. However, at this moment, Whitebeard suddenly heard a very familiar hearty laughter. Ha ha ha, Whitebeard hasn't fought against each other for so many years, how much strength do you still have? Everyone looked around and saw 3 very familiar figures suddenly appearing on an approaching ship. Marine Hero, Garp. Former Marine General, Zephyr. Marine General, Aokiji. There is no doubt that they are here to help Bai Ye defend the G5 branch. What is not funny is that so many people are willing to fight to the death for Bai Ye, but the real Master Bai Ye does not appear. Garp whispered to Zephyr, leave Whitebeard to me later, you and Aokiji will deal with Kaido, and leave Big Mom to Yishao. Alas, this time I have done so much for that boy Bai Ye, he should be able to let my grandson go, right? Let it go, absolutely let it go. Zephyr promised, patting his chest. Whitebeard said solemnly, Garp, do you want to participate in this matter? Ace died in Bai Ye's hands. I won't make any judgments before seeing Bai Ye. Garp also knew this, but he felt that Bai Ye had no reason to kill Ace. Moreover, he wanted to hear the truth from Bai Ye with his own ears. If that's the case, let me see if your old guy's fist is as hard as it was back then. The Kongyunchi in Whitebeard's hand adjusted its direction and struck out in the direction of Garp. The concussive power contained in it spurted out and turned into a giant sword energy, even shaking out dark cracks in the space wherever it passed. Facing Whitebeard's full blow, Garp did not dare to take it lightly, and his fist was instantly covered with armed domineering energy. Just when Garp was about to take action, a figure suddenly flashed before his eyes. In the astonished eyes of everyone, the figure raised his hand and directly shattered the space where the giant sword energy was, and a huge black hole appeared. Endless sea water pours into it, but the black hole seems to be endless and can never be filled. It wasn't until a while that the black hole gradually shrank until it disappeared. Only then did everyone realize that the figure was the real owner they had been waiting for a long time, Bai Ye. Bai Ye looked in the direction of the 3 Emperor-level pirates and whispered, aren't you looking for me? Now, I'm here. Chapter 191 Punch Man. Advertise here. After everyone watching the live broadcast saw that figure, they all exclaimed, Bai Ye is really here. Yishao looked at Bai Ye's figure and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Although the crisis has not been resolved yet, for some reason, Yishao felt relieved after seeing Bai Ye. Ain and Dasky were very excited and looked at Bai Ye with wet eyes, I knew he would definitely come back. The real person who started this battle is Xiao He. Bai Ye finally appeared. And Bai Yoruichi showed his great strength when he appeared, blocking Whitebeard's attack with a casual blow. From this point of view, it is not impossible to advocate that Bai Ye can replace Whitebeard and become the strongest man in the world. Bai Ye looked around, catching everyone's eyes one by one. Good guy, the people involved in this battle are almost comparable to the decisive battle in the Valley of the Gods that affected the direction of the sea 30 years ago. In particular, Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido were members of the Rocks pirate ship 30 years ago. Pretty much the same situation. 6. There are also Garp and Zephyr from the marine side who participated in the battle. Even though Rocks, Roger and Sengoku are missing, there are still Aokiji, Yishao and Byakuya to fill them in. Looking at it this way, it is almost equivalent to recreating the decisive battle in the Valley of Gods. At the beginning, the powerful Rocks needed Roger and Garp to join forces to defeat it. But with Bai Ye's current strength, even if all the strong men here attack him together, they won't be enough to hit him with a few punches. What's more, nearly half of the powerful people came to help him. Byakuya, where is my grandson Luffy? Although Garp was shocked by the power of Bai Ye's blow, he was more concerned about the safety of his grandson. Zephyr also echoed, Bai Ye, for the sake of this old guy Garp coming to help you despite military orders, why don't you let his grandson go? In this case, even if Garp died in this battle, there would still be someone to collect his body. We can be considered worthy of him. Quote. When Garp heard this, he glared at Zephyr fiercely, do you know how to speak? Zephyr shrugged innocently, meaning, am I not speaking for you? Lieutenant General Garp, don't worry, Luffy should be here soon. Byakuya turned to look at Zephyr, with a little guilt in his eyes. Teacher Zephyr, Kuzan, you should go back. I can handle this matter myself. Before Zephyr and Kuzan could reply, Bai Ye flew into the air, looked at the white-bearded people, and said in a deep voice, you are indeed right, I created the Ye organization with my own hands. Now that the matter has come to this, Bai Ye doesn't bother to hide it anymore. After finishing his words, Bai Ye easily took off the marine clothes on his body, and what caught everyone's eyes was the black waning moon black robe. Especially after Bai Ye put on that dark mask, it caused an uproar all over the sea. Marine General Bai Ye is actually the leader of the Ye organization, Ye. If I was just doubtful before and not 100% sure. Bai Ye now revealed his identity, which shocked everyone and made everyone feel extremely frightened. Byakuya's identity on the surface is General Marine, but secretly he is the fifth emperor of the New World. No matter which one of these two identities is taken out, it is enough to shock the sea. But Bai Ye has two identities combined. How powerful is this guy? Especially Sengoku, who was watching the live broadcast at Marine headquarters, was dumbfounded. At first, he was the first to doubt Bai Ye's identity, but after various things were eliminated, warring states dispelled his doubts about Bai Ye. Thinking that Bai Ye must not be a member of the Knight organization. But who would have thought that Bai Ye would give him a big surprise? Bai Ye is not only a member of the Knight organization, but also the leader who founded the Knight organization, with a bounty of 3.7 billion Baileys for the Knight. This made Zheng Guo couldn't help but smile bitterly. I have been called a wise general for decades in vain. Now it seems that this wisdom is probably a retarded one. At this moment, warring states wanted to ask Bai Ye personally, why? It's a pity that he still has to guard Marine headquarters. But apart from warring states, Zephyr and Kuzan also wanted to ask this question. Bai Ye, you. Although Zephyr had long thought about Bai Ye's identity as a member of the Yi organization. But when he saw that his beloved disciple was actually Yi, the leader of the Yi organization, he still felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. Bai Ye looked at Zephyr and said a little apologetically, I'm sorry, teacher. As I come into contact with more things, I also have things I have to do. Although Bai Ye's strength is countless times stronger than Zephyr's, Bai Ye really treats Zephyr as a relative. Just like when Zephyr learned that he might be in danger this time, he knew that his identity might be from the Knight organization, but he was still willing to come to the G5 branch. So facing Zephyr who taught him wholeheartedly, Bai Ye still felt ashamed. This has nothing to do with strength, this is just the emotion that normal people should have. Zephyr slowly shook his head, you are not sorry for me, you have grown up, and it is normal for you to have your own ideas. I just want to ask you a question, was the Knight organization founded by you before joining Marine or after joining Marine? After Marine. Zephyr smiled happily. He was satisfied with the answer. If Bai Ye founded the Knight organization before, it means that his purpose of joining Marine was not pure. On the contrary, this can only mean that he saw some unacceptable things in Marine, so he chose to secretly establish the Knight organization. Just like Garp's son Dorag, he also chose to quit Marine after becoming Marine Lieutenant General and founded a revolutionary army that made the world government extremely fearful. Zephyr understands this truth, and Garp, Kuzan, and Sengoku can also understand it. The reason why a 20-year-old Marine general can do such a thing is self-evident. At this moment, the terrifying aura on Big Mom's body suddenly erupted, Bai Ye's figure was reflected in his pupils, and he said sternly, it's really you. Kaido remained silent, this time things were getting more and more troublesome. Whitebeard did not expect that Bai Ye would admit his identity so simply. Is Ace's death really related to the Yi organization? Since you are seeking death on your own initiative, let's have a fight. Knight organization. As Bai Yoruichi shouted in a low voice, 6 paths figures wearing black robes and masks suddenly appeared from midair. Everyone exuded a strong aura. Lucci, Enel, Sonic, Tatsumaki, Law and Hancock who just joined the Knight organization. Only then did everyone realize that the mysterious Knight organization had been hiding in the sky above the G5 branch. No wonder no one could find any trace of the Knight organization on the sea. Bai Ye said to Whitebeard and the others, since this is the grudge between you and the Yi organization, it has nothing to do with Marine. Today we will put an end to it here. All the questions were answered by me at night. Let's see if you destroy the Knight organization, or if you all die tragically in my hands. Quote. Whitebeard and the others' hearts sank. Although they had already prepared, they didn't expect that the Yi organization was so powerful. Based on the strength Bai Ye had shown before, coupled with the aura exuded by these people. I'm afraid that an emperor-level pirate group is not their opponent yet. To Bai Ye's expectation, Yi Xiao suddenly spoke at this moment, Brother Bai Ye, you and I made a bet when first joined Marine, and I respect the bet. As a result, now you are no longer a Marine yourself. Quote. I'm really sorry, because my identity is too special, so I can only keep it hidden from you. Although Bai Ye trusts Yi Xiao, Ferguson, Ain and Dasky, he will not take the initiative to tell the news that he is Yi. If it was normal, he should have found a suitable time to reveal the news. It's just that this incident happened so suddenly that even Bai Ye was caught off guard. So this is the only way to deal with it. He shook his head with a smile and said, that's not what I'm talking about. Since first joined Marine because of you and you quit Marine, then there is no need for me to continue to stay in Marine. After saying that, Yi Xiao also took off his Marine clothes and resumed his purple clothes. Now I want to join the Yi organization. I wonder if Brother Bai Ye can agree. Brother Yi Xiao is willing to join me, of course I have no problem with it. Ain and Dasky made exactly the same choice, and Ferguson did the same. Soon, the entire G5 branch had taken off their Marine uniforms. Seeing such a scene, Bai Ye couldn't help but smile. It seemed that in addition to gaining a lot of world power, joining Marine also made so many people willing to follow him. Crazy. Crazy. The entire G5 branch soldiers are crazy. Don't they know what situation Bai Ye is facing now? It was the siege of 3 emperor-level pirates, including the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. Joining the Knight organization now, what is the difference between joining the Knight organization and voluntarily committing suicide? But what ordinary people like them don't understand is that they can still resolutely choose the Knight organization in such a crisis. This shows that they think Bai Ye is right and is more worthy of following than Marine. This spirit is somewhat similar to the Revolutionary Army. Bai Ye glanced at the many strong men and gradually focused on Katakuri, who looked slightly uneasy. Katakuri, I once said that if my identity is leaked, I will kill your whole family. Now it seems that it is time for me to fulfill my promise. Quote. Listening to Bai Ye's emotionless words, Katakuri was agitated and subconsciously shouted, I really didn't reveal this news, someone else told my mother. Byakuya's fear of Katakuri was too deep. Other people. It seems that the red-haired pirates or the world government are really behind the scenes. While Bai Ye was thinking, he suddenly heard a roar. Bai Ye, you killed Ace and Saki, and everyone in your Ye organization must pay for their lives today. Diamond Josie, captain of the 3rd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, stared at Bai Ye with red eyes, exuding strong murderous intent. Bai Ye couldn't help but raise his brows and said coldly, who do you think you are? How dare you threaten to kill everyone in Ye's organization? Bai Ye pointed towards Chaozi, and an invisible strong wind instantly formed and rushed away, making a harsh scream wherever it passed. The wind was so fast that Josie didn't have any time to react. Josie felt like he was drowning, and the invisible pressure made his thinking slow down. Just when Chaozi was about to fall into death, Whitebeard reacted very quickly, and Kong Yunchi thrust out fiercely, blocking Chaozi's body. Ding! The finger-shaped energy hit Kong Yunchi's blade. Whitebeard only felt his right hand go numb, and the terrifying force spread along Kong Yunchi's body. Crack! The deck under Whitebeard's feet broke instantly, and the whole person retreated several steps back. After repelling Whitebeard, the power of Qi Jin became weaker, but it still flew towards Chaozi, and its direction changed slightly under the obstruction of Whitebeard. After Whitebeard's block, Josie had time to react and immediately used his fruit power to turn his whole body into the hardest diamond. But even so, when Qi Jin came to him, Chaozi still let out a miserable wail. The energy directly penetrated Josie's diamond-like body, leaving a small circular wound on the left side of his chest. The circular wound began to spread at an extremely fast speed, causing Josie's diamond-shaped body to continue to fragment. Countless diamonds transformed from the body fell down, and every time a piece fell, it meant that Chaozi had lost this part forever. When Marco saw this, he quickly lit a light cyan flame in his hand. This flame was not very hot and could play a very good therapeutic role under Marco's control. The light cyan flame instantly spread all over Josie's body, greatly slowing down the degree of fragmentation. But this is Marco's limit. Under such treatment, he will not even be able to save the physical strength to fight later. At this moment, everyone looked at Bai Ye with deep fear. The energy generated by a random finger not only knocked back Whitebeard several steps, but also almost killed a second-tier powerhouse in the sea like Diamond, Josie. How terrifying is Bai Ye's strength? If they knew that Bai Ye had only used 20% of his strength just now, they might not even be able to stand still. Whitebeard was furious at this moment. Bai Ye, first you killed Ace and Saki, and now you seriously injured Josie in front of me. Today, you will die. Bai Ye's strength was completely beyond everyone's expectations, and Big Mom and Kaido on the side actually had some intention of retreating. In the past few decades, they have seen many strong men, including Roger, Whitebeard, and Rox, who was recognized as the strongest ever. But now, they feel that Bai Ye is actually stronger than the former Captain Rox. Moreover, this is not even the slightest bit better, it feels like someone from another world at all. Faced with Whitebeard's rage, Bai Ye smiled and said, on the sea, you can't fully display your strength, otherwise. It's better to let Kuzan freeze the entire sea. In this case, you can fully display your strength. I want to see how capable you group of ocean kings really are. Quote. If Bai Ye had said such words before, everyone would have only laughed at Bai Ye for not overestimating his abilities. Facing Bai Ye's gaze, Kuzan nodded, placed his hands on the sea to release the cold air, and saw that the sea was instantly frozen at a speed visible to the naked eye. Bai Ye sighed, it's been a long time since I used my fists. The last time Yao thought about using his fists to blow up an enemy was when he met Kebi in the East China Sea. It doesn't look like he's dead yet, but everyone knows that with Big Mom's appearance, he won't be able to survive much longer without Bai Ye taking action. Only the sound of flesh and blood being shattered was heard, and a bloody hole was directly punched through Bigum's head by Bai Ye's punch. Especially people like Whitebeard and Garp who have fought against Bigum, naturally know how hard Bigum's steel balloon is. The visual impact of this punch to the flesh is extremely strong. This is unbelievable. Kaido's muscles all over his body were tense, as if endless energy and blood were rushing through his body, causing the temperature emitted by his body to be much higher than the surrounding temperature. No one expected that Bai Ye would give a warning before taking action. Big Mom and Kaido felt that something was wrong when they saw the ice spreading. Now after hearing Bai Ye's words, they understood what this guy meant. Bai Ye, do you think you've got the three of us today? Bai Ye took off Feng Ming from his waist and handed it to Zephyr. He took out a pair of white gloves from his arms and put them on, covering 2/3 of his forearms. Come on, I want you to see my best offensive method today. Bai Ye chuckled and said, if they are all frozen, you don't have to think about how to escape. PFF'd. Is he still a human? No one in the entire sea can achieve this level of strength, right? In just a few seconds, the sea area with a radius of hundreds of miles was completely frozen. Bai Ye looked at Big Mom. It seems that you have forgotten the feeling of that slap. Today I will help you relive it. Bai Ye casually shook off the blood on his right fist, then looked at Whitebeard and Kaido, revealing a smile that looked like sunshine but was scary. Bigum's body, which was comparable to a hill, collapsed to the ground. Blood flowed out from the blood hole and spread on the ice. His whole body was still twitching. In Bigum's panicked eyes, he raised his small right fist and struck it towards Bigum's huge cheek. Who's next? Garp's expression remained unchanged, and he silently hid his fists behind his back, secretly making up his mind that he would never be called Iron Fist again when he returned this time. When Big Mom heard Bai Ye mention that slap, she instantly went crazy and exuded a destructive aura. But after seeing the strength Bai Ye showed just now, they only felt that Bai Ye seemed to be having some fun for himself, because he was really too strong. Now you have no choice but to fight to the death. Quote. Both those watching the live broadcast and those at the scene were shocked by the scene in front of them. One punch. Kill. Bigum, one of the 4 emperors. Bigum's face showed a fierce expression. No matter how strong you are, under the siege of the 3 of us, you will only die. But in the next moment, Bai Ye appeared in front of Big Mom as if teleporting. Bai Ye raised his hand to Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom and said, I want to start the fight. What if I didn't? I wanted to play with you for a while longer, but you came to seek your own death, so I had no choice but to end this interesting pretending game. White Knight. However, Bigum's physical talent, which was disdainful of the sea, could not even withstand a punch in front of Bai Ye.